Zack Attack Nation, welcome to the movies that made us. I have a very, very special guest here today, Jonah from the Cosmic Broadcast. How are you doing, man?
I am here, man. I'm happy to participate on this cinematic journey with you tonight.
Yes, everybody give him a round of applause.
Oh, we got sound effects? Oh, we got sound effects?
Oh, you haven't come over to the Zack
Oh,
Attack verse,
look.
man. I'll be out here.
We had to get the good stuff in tonight. Let's go.
had to get the sound effects for you. So, what's special about this is actually me and Jonah's first live stream together. You know how bad it was? I've been calling him Cosmic this whole time and didn't know his real name.
I would have still been fine with it. I've had people call me Jacob, Noah. Just ask Ken about that. Noah was the biggest one, I think. Yeah, that was Noah. And I just accepted it. I was like, you know what? It is what it is.
Whatever. As long as you know the name Cosmic Broadcast, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. So I'm happy to have you here. We're gonna go along your cinematic journey, like you said. But first, let's talk about your channel. As you see down there, it says subscribe to the Cosmic Broadcast. The link is in the description below and in the title. So click anywhere there and go hit that sub button and come right back. So let's talk about the Cosmic Broadcast. Where did you come up with the name and the conception, and what do you do on your channel?
Yeah, sure thing. So originally the Cosmic Broadcast was supposed to be a podcast. Just like everybody else in COVID, I was like, hey, I can make a podcast, talk about Marvel, DC, Star Wars. And it started out pretty good and then fell through due to some creative differences. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to go solo, I could either change the name or embrace it and just roll with it. And I was like, you know what? Cosmic Broadcast. Cosmic, that could apply to a couple different things. I didn't want to just say something like the Marvel Broadcast, because then if I wanted to talk about Star Wars, I'm stuck.
It limits you.
So, yeah. So I was like, Cosmic covers everything involving the extraordinary. So Marvel, Star Wars, DC all fit under there. I was like, let's rock with that. And then the broadcast, I was like, you know what? I already got this on air sign. So my thing was, what if I just turn it on every time I start a video and kind of have that, like associate that with what I talk about. So it's almost like every time I am doing a review, I'm on air while I'm talking about it. So I snuck that in a little bit. And then from then on out, I started to slowly start to find my identity on YouTube. And in this case, it happened to be editing. So for me, editing is a really big passion of mine. And I was like, you know what? If I can't make myself sound good just talking to the camera, I might as well get creative with it and fully embrace everything around just talking at a camera and sharing my thoughts. And that's how it all started.
Wow. And first of all, you do sound great talking on camera. So you have both aspects. I super respect your editing style and what you do and how much work you put into each video. And you can see you're getting the results easily. Man, I'm so excited to talk. Let's see what these people are saying in the chat. Collector Movie Man. Hey, welcome to the live stream. Thank you for being here, man. Hey, Jacob, here to support Jonah.
Hey.
When is your next video coming out? Hope it's Sonic, babe.
So we got it. I know exactly who you voted for. So Jacob is a big supporter of the channel. He's been around almost since the beginning. Jacob, it's work. I'm working on it. So actually, sneak peek. So the next video I have is going to be a Sonic video, regardless of how the poll I put out comes out, because I was already working on it. It's talking about my expectations for Sonic 3. But after that is what's going to be influenced by the poll. So I have to live and die by whatever that is. So if it's Sonic, cool. If it's the Marvel vid, then I'll be just as happy.
I remember when I last looked at it, it was like tied or close to being tied between the Marvel and the Sonic vid. So
it had like 50 votes, and they were just split. I was like, come on, guys, you had one job.
Jacob,
like,
you're gonna have to get your friends to sub and vote, man.
Go vote on that community tab. Go to my channel, check it out, and hopefully we can break the tie.
Yeah. Hey, exactly. Hope you're having a good day. Look over tomorrow. See Doom Part 1. We'll definitely do a reaction of it after I get out of the theaters. Wait, are you seeing part 1 and part 2, or is it just part 2? Because they're doing that tomorrow. I know there's a fan for part 2, but they're doing the one where you can see part 1 and part 2 back to back, which is
that's at like specific theaters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 6 hours. Hey, let's go. Let's get Cosmic. Eddie Sparks.
Trademark pending.
It's like, oh, he should say that.
Dark in
movies.
Toby,
I haven't seen you in the live stream in a long time, but
I've missed that, man.
He can't do weekdays.
Exactly. I've missed that, man. Toby, you're an amazing human being, my dude.
Yes, he is the GOAT, and I love his skits.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I was calling him Noah.
And again, I'm such a chill person. I don't care. Hey, Collector Movie Man. Welcome to the channel, my friend.
I've been calling him Jonah. Cosmic, just honestly everything.
Yeah, just go down the line. Start with Cosmic and work your way down.
Yep. And Dark Movies, like you said, your editing style is amazing.
Too kind.
And I paused Doom Part 1 to join you guys for a bit.
We must be
Well, that's a
special.
big task. That's a great movie. Okay. So the way the stream is going to work, we're going to go through 18 films that has influenced his film taste, changed his life. As you see the thumbnail and you clicked on the thumbnail, saved his life. And it's going to be 6 for his adolescence when he was a young little tad with diapers on and running around and pooping everywhere. And then the middle where he was a preteen and a teen, and then his, older, his adulthood. So 6 movies for each section. I'll be asking questions. We'll have a free-flowing conversations. You guys in the chat, you are here to participate as well. So if you have any particular questions for him on specific movies, or I want to ask him about a movie that he see that's similar to the movie that he brought up, drop it in there and we'll talk to you guys about that as well. I'll be dropping polls in there. Me and Jonah and Jonah will have any questions or polls. We'll put them in there and do it at the same time. Right now we have a poll going right now and it sees like 50-50. And then at the end, we're going to have rapid 21 questions to see what films and things like that maybe he didn't mention, or certain specific questions we didn't get to really talk about Jonah's cinematic journey. So let's get into that first film, man.
Let's do it.
So we are doing the childhood. And this would be, I see you have it in an order here. So I'm going to go by the order you had, and that's the Incredibles.
So yeah, I didn't really do it in order, so I got no problems bouncing around. So not a problem. Yeah, wow. So you technically says like what, 5 to 8 years old?
Yeah.
So you're implying I was pooping when I was 8 years old? I'm not letting you hear the end of that. I don't forget.
How dare you?
This man said I was pooping when I was 8 years old. All right, we're gonna get back to the video. So yeah, Incredibles. So Incredibles for me was like my introduction to the Fantastic Four before I ever knew what the Fantastic Four was. So for me, I was like, for the first time, I was like, dude, all these powers and the super family. I was like, this is super dope. And as a kid, I'm so easily impressed. So you take a movie that still holds up to this day. And most of the stuff I'm going to be talking about in all these future movies are all ones that pretty much hold up to this day. The fact that even as a kid, I was blown away just speaks to the quality of the sound design, the music, the score. I think is Michael Giacchino. He was the one who composed this like 50s, 60s vibe, spy thriller, superhero beat. And oh my gosh, it's just amazing to this day. And I just there's what is there to not love about this? I'm gonna say a lot of generic things like, oh, this is great, but like Incredibles was a true marker in my early life where I looked at it as something more than just the typical Pixar film, because I didn't watch Pixar films in order. I watched them as I was able to get access to them, but Incredibles is just, it was the first one that stuck out to me as one of my favorite Pixar movies in my early age.
And you're selling the movie really well. As for someone, unfortunately, I have not seen The Incredibles before, any of them. I know he was going to make that face. What is the thing why this is such a must-see movie? Because all the things you said about The Incredibles just now can apply to other movies, but there's something about The Incredibles specifically why people are like, you have to watch it. What is it?
All right. So back then, Pixar was killing the new idea game. Like they were revolutionary with every single film they put out. But what really stuck out for me for this specific film, and this is something that I'm specifically drawn to in a lot of things, if you watch any of my other reviews, the family dynamic is something that I think is portrayed immaculately because it's not perfect. They argue, they bicker. It's a family that doesn't always see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, they love each other and would do anything for each other. And when Mr. Incredible and Mrs. Incredible are having marital disputes and it's something real, something tangible. I mean, it's literally implied that she thinks he's cheating on her in a kid's movie, kid's movie. And the way that she rightfully so tracks him down and the kids end up, stowing away. And I won't go into too much since you haven't seen it, but it's still one of those things where it just feels natural and real and grounded in a kid's movie that's animated, that features superheroes. And when you combine all of those together, combined with some revolutionary tech back in the day, I mean, they were doing stuff with animation in the early 2000s that had never been seen before. And granted, we take that for granted these days. That's why you have to look at it, with the 2000s mindset. But the way they show off Dash's powers as a speedster, or Violet's force fields, or Mrs. Fantastic's. Wow. See, it just goes to show how synonymous they are. But Mrs. Incredible's stretchy abilities and Mr. Incredible's strength. Each one of those has the ability to complement each other in a unique and incredible way. Incredible.
Gotcha.
See what I
So
did there?
that family core and what makes the Fantastic Four so incredible kind of ties in there, and the revolutionary part is what interests me because
Mhm.
you say it holds up. It was in the 2000s it came out. It's now, 2024. You feel like if I watch that, let's say I turn it on after this, you think I will, because I don't have the nostalgia. I don't have the,
Right.
oh, I watched this with my dad or my mom and stuff like that. Those feelings with it. You think the CGI and the animation will still look great to me?
I believe it will, as long as you're not expecting something like Into the Spiderverse or Elemental or something like that. Because again,
Mhm.
if you look at it looking to rip it apart, you will find things to rip apart. However, if you look at it with an open mind and just going, I'm going to enjoy this as a movie and look at the things other than the animation, you will not notice it hardly at all.
Gotcha. That's amazing. That's amazing. And do you have any specific memories of with that movie in terms of because you talk about family with that film, do like watching it with your family? Because you said you were about 5 to 8 years old when
Yeah.
you saw it.
Yeah, not pooping. So I'm still coming back to that. So yeah,
That's the theme.
the theme of the stream. Yeah, so I watched it with my family all the time. My family was like, if there was a family that represented Pixar fans, it was my
Mhm.
family. We watched Pixar all the time, old school Disney. I'll be transparent and say that in my childhood, we definitely didn't have access to a lot of modern, or like in back in the day, modern movies and stuff like that. I had a little bit more of a sheltered lifestyle.
Mhm.
So we had very limited options, but the options that we had were things like Pixar. And I grew to have this innate love for all things Pixar because I consumed a lot of that growing up.
Got you. And let's see what people are saying about in the chat about this movie. So, Collector Movie Man, also like me, has never seen The Incredibles, even dark movies, which that makes sense for dark
Wow. Yeah.
movies. He's pretty young. I think he's like still a teenager, so I
Yeah.
can see why he wouldn't have seen this. Collector Movie Man. Well, actually, I think you're on your movie journey like me. Someone that's an older gentleman that hasn't seen a lot because we share a lot of the films that we're buying and things like that. And he's buying a lot of older films that he's watching for the first time. That's something you definitely should check out.
Don't sell yourself short,
Pretty
man. You're not old. Age is just a
Sometimes I
number.
feel old. I just feel old sometimes amongst the YouTube community that we have built because they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm turning 18." I'm like, "I remember those days."
I remember Walkmans, man.
Oh, I miss my yellow and gray Walkman. But we're going down a different nostalgia path. The Incredibles is phenomenal and the best Fantastic Four movie. Yeah,
No
I
lies
feel like that's
detected.
not even arguable. Incredibles 2 is underrated. Do you agree with that?
No. Love you, Ken.
Ooh,
Love you, Ken. Just
dang.
personal opinion, a sequel, if a sequel has to justify its existence. And if they go
Mm,
down the same beats as the first film and kind of undo things that were in the first movie and kind of artificially create strife and tension just to create a new story with predictable twist villains and all that jazz, I didn't like it as much. I still think it's decent, but I don't think it's
mm,
underrated. But again,
gotcha.
all love.
Some hot takes. Has very well defined characters, extremely dynamic chemistry, and also a fantastic villain. Oh, I didn't hear you
Syndrome.
talk about the villain. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a note about that, and I totally just shot right through it. One of the very first instances that I remember as a kid where I watched a, a villain that became a villain because of the actions of the good guy. So
Mm,
for me, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like all he wanted to do was help, and all Mr. Incredible did was turn him away. I thought that was really interesting that that's what turned him into the villain he is. And we're spoiling all kinds of things for you, Zach. So I mean,
yeah,
it is
that's
what
fine.
it
I'm
is.
definitely gonna watch it though. I might do a watch along of that now,
Oh yeah,
because that would be fun to watch with everybody. But that's some of my favorite villains. I think about somebody like Harry Osborn.
yeah.
Traditionally in the comics, he's split between being best friends with Peter, but his father's the bad guy. But he wants to do is help Peter. Peter will keep pushing away, and then he becomes either like the Hobgoblin or the New Green Goblin. Those are some
Nuance.
very interesting villains. Yeah, the nuance, and you're like, he's a villain. He's doing bad things, but we saw the journey and what led him. When you just pop up and you're already bad, it's not as interesting because I don't know what led you to it, and you come like a mustache twirler.
hmm Which
But
can
yeah,
be effective when fully embraced. But
yeah,
again, that's a
yeah,
whole nother conversation.
yeah. That makes sense though. I agree. Great world building as well. Wow, you guys are really selling this. All the things that I like. it sounds like it has it in this movie. So you guys are really telling me to watch this. I've seen almost every Pixar movie though. Grew up with them. Okay, so
My
you
man,
just missed one of the greatest ones apparently, like me.
get to watching.
See, he's turning 17 in November. He's
What
a
a
bitch.
what a baby.
He's such a baby, and he's so good at YouTube already.
I
Crazy.
know. When I was his age, yeah, I was nowhere near YouTube. I was doing cringy
No,
stuff that I never want to ever think about again.
probably me too. I was
What
probably in high school playing Yu-Gi-Oh. That's probably what my thing was.
guarantee you I was wearing mismatched clothes and shoes that I probably should have never been wearing. But
That's one thing I can say. My fashion game was decent.
I'm
Again,
happy
that's the
for
one
you.
thing to say. So another movie that's on this list that I actually haven't seen, so you can definitely sell it to me, is Hook. Tell me
Ooh,
about that
yeah.
and why that's important to you.
Yeah, so I watched this movie a lot as a kid, but this is one of those where I didn't quite grasp the deeper meanings of it until I was older. So again,
Mm,
watched it a lot as a kid, but then revisiting it as an older guy myself, again, not old, I'm still in my mid 20s, but it still gave it new purpose and new life. So Hook features Robin Williams
mm,
as the main protagonist. Spoiler alert, he's Peter Pan, but what would happen if Peter Pan left Neverland as a kid and grew up among us? And he
mm.
had a wife, he had kids, but also he succumbed to the worst thing known to mankind, corporate America. And
The build up to that.
he falls into the 9 to 5, becomes a little
Mm,
bit I guess passive and separated from his kids. Mentally,
mm,
he's unable to disconnect from his work, becomes a workaholic. Just everything that you think of that Peter Pan isn't, he became.
mm,
And I think it was for me as a kid, I was like, whoa, this isn't the Peter Pan I watched on Disney, like the Disney movie. What happened? And even as a little kid, I was fascinated by the idea of this older gentleman who claims or who is Peter Pan, but completely rejects his identity. And something happens where Captain Hook resurfaces and takes his kids to try to lure him back into Neverland to kill him. And basically, Peter has to come to face with his past while also rediscovering that spark of his childhood in order to save his
mm,
kids. And bro, when I like as who I am today, I look back at that and I'm like, dang, that really hits hard for me because it's all about never losing that spark of your childhood. Because in the world of 9 to 5s, of bills and taxes and the economy and inflation, something that makes it better is holding on to those things in your childhood that just gives you that warm feeling inside, you know? And so I think that's for me, like what really gives this a double meaning as I get older. But then again, as a kid, I just thought it was super entertaining because I loved Robin Williams as a kid.
of course.
And I loved how he played the role of Peter Pan with more nuance, but then also kept that comedic element that we all know him for. And I personally just I love that movie so much to this day. It's not I don't even think it had a good score on Rotten Tomatoes. But me personally, I was a pretty big fan of it.
Yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes thing, I don't really hold too much weight to it. There's so many movies that I love that's rotten
Hmm.
or like low tomatoes, like 67%, 55%, whatever you have to do to get a low tomato. So I hear this all the time. Like I'm in a lot of film groups and you'll see, I don't know how this got a Rotten Tomato. I love this movie. You see a bunch of people say they love it. It's just like that's just a couple hundred people's opinion versus everybody else that may have saw the film. So I've heard amazing things about Hook all the time. I've heard people say bad things about Hook as
Hmm.
well, but that's going to be every movie.
Yeah,
What
it's not for everyone.
interests me, yeah, what interests me is that the fact that we went from Incredibles to Hook and the father aspect there. Both fathers kind of having this disconnect, to the point where like Mr. Incredible wife thought he was cheating.
Right.
And then Robert Williams' character here, who's Peter Pan, gets into the corporate America. And as somebody that's in their 30s, I know what that feels like. The
Hmm.
7 to 3s, the 9 to 5s, the 12 to
Hmm.
8s, and just being in that cycle, never taking a break, and just letting them drag you down where you lose that spark. Like YouTube is the only thing that gives me that childlike thing. And luckily I
Hmm.
found that. So I can definitely relate to those themes, and I can see a through line already with the terms of things that you like and why they guide you. So
Hmm.
I at the end of these
The wheels
streams,
are
I kind
turning.
of like to, yeah, I like to
Yeah.
like find that connecting through line. I did it with Screen Gen reviews really well. That was the first one I did really well, where I figured out why he loves all these movies, and even he was like, "Oh shoot, I didn't know that." And I was like, "Yes,
Got him.
So yeah, I got him." So definitely gonna hold on to that. Let's see in the live chat. He said, "I was just trying to survive an abusive household at 17." Oh no, Kenny! Why would they
Happens
use
to the
that
best of us.
beautiful face of yours? Oh, I'm so sad, but I'm glad you're out of it, man. Tennis Reaper Cinema, thank you for joining the live stream. I am doing well today. How are you doing? Hook is a good one as well, but I haven't seen it in decades. I'm guessing it came out a long time ago. Have you seen with T? Hey, have you seen with T? Lovable channel member. I appreciate you being
What's
here.
up, T?
I'm trying to remember who played Hook. It looks like they answered it. It was Dustin
Hoffman.
Okay.
That's
Came
a
out in
blast.
1991. Oh, I was 1.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's so long ago. Wow. That is definitely crazy. What is not crazy is your next film on the list.
Good
segue. Spy
segue.
Kids.
Ooh, Spy Kids. Zach with the smooth transitions today. I like it. I like it. All right, so look, let me just start out by saying Spy Kids does not hold up today. Just like with everything else, I've talked about how great they hold up. No. You know what's funny is my wife and I, like last year, were like, let's rewatch it because we both grew up on Spy Kids. Like, let's give it a shot. I was like, this is booty water. This is so bad. This is terrible. I hate this so much. And it's so dated. It's, you know, the comedy is so cringeworthy now. It looks like Dark just jumped in. He asked what movie we're talking about. So Dark, we're talking about Spy Kids right now. The first one, not the second one, not the third one, first one. And the line delivery is super cringy. Special effects look like they were made in like Microsoft Paint. It's not great. But man, as a kid, as a young impressionable kid, the gadgets they use, the ships they fly around in, you know, like the thing they did where they put the like the pill or whatever in the microwave and it turned into a burger and fries. Yes. Dude, I wanted that so bad. So bad. And I was like, where can I get this? I legit thought, I was like, there's got to be a way where I could get a hold of this. And I pestered my mom to take me to McDonald's all the time to try to get all the toys in the Happy Meal. And I eventually collected all of them. I was the happiest kid ever because that kind of a movie is perfect for when you're a kid. You just enjoy the heck out of it. It's super low stakes. It's got a heartwarming, you know, story of family of I think it's the Cortezes. Yeah, it's the Cortezes. And, you know, the parents being spies, the kids being like spy juniors and, you know, having rocket boots. I mean, it's the ultimate Happy Meal, ironically, of children's film, you know, where some children's movies have those deep underlying tones that can speak to adults and kids, maybe some adult references. I feel like Spy Kids was just so empty calorie where you enjoy it in the moment, especially as a kid, but then kind of just goes away and you're like, that was a movie. But as a kid,
the creator was like, I'm making it specifically for young kids. There's
and he nailed it
for adults here.
Yep. So again, this is one of those movies where as a kid, purely one of the best, but I'm never recommending this for adult men to go look up and spend their time watching.
Go watching it again. And it's so funny because they just made another one. And I feel like they don't realize the kids now are not going to go watch Spy Kids.
Probably not.
Because it just doesn't hold up visually. I think George Lopez is still a meme right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Wait, was that from Spy Kids or was that from Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Actually, no, yeah, you're right. I think that's Shark Boy
Lava
and Lava Girl. Another thing that I loved as a kid but does not hold up.
Nope. Looking like what was it? MODOK.
Yes, looked like MODOK and Zordon had a baby. I have a fun fact for you here. I'm not going to test your knowledge or anything on Spy Kids because it's Spy Kids. There's not much to the film.
Shoot.
But in the film series, the kids and their parents work for OSS, the Organization of Super Spies. Did you know that OSS is actually a real organization in the United States military branch that operated since World War II and acted as the predecessor to the CIA?
I did not have that on my bingo card today. That's actually pretty interesting. So you're telling me that now, did the military get it from Spy Kids or did the Spy Kids get it from the military?
So if it precedes the CIA, probably Spy Kids got it from the military
Mm. All
because
right.
Spy Kids came out what 2000
2000,
maybe
2001, something like that.
21.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
I wouldn't put
that's
it
really
past them
interesting that
though.
they took a real like organization and was allowed to.
Yeah.
This is a spy organization, so
Yeah.
why would you? So
I
that's hilarious.
can't wait for Spy Kids 6 where Junie joins the Secret Service. Who
That's the
knows?
ultimate glow up, and just do it like a very serious Spy Kids, where it's like gritty, and they're in the CIA and FBI.
Now that's a
I'm
character
down.
arc right there.
Have you seen? He said that movie was huge in my childhood. Many of us, I think, a lot of the imaginative things you talk about the pill, and you can put it in the microwave, and the ships and everything like that. It just sparks your imagination for kiddie sci-fi, which may lead you to adult sci-fi. So
Just
definitely,
opens the door just a little bit.
yeah, just a little bit. Spy Kids is a lot of fun. Uh, not booty water. The walking thumbs were a lot. Yeah.
Yo, that gave me nightmares as a kid.
When I was Googling it to look up questions and
You just
the
see
image of
thumbs.
this, it was like, oh God, I forgot about this. Oh man, collecting movies I watched when I was young. It was animated Disney movies. I watched Sleeping Beauty, Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and a bunch of other older ones. A lot of
All
classics.
goaded. All goaded.
Spy Kids was fun, not great. Yeah.
Facts.
He said, "Yeah, I know I was young, but I did watch Spy Kids when I was a kid."
A man of culture. You are
Oh,
a man
yes.
of culture, Toby.
Oh, I was talking about Hook. I
Okay, I was
never
about to
seen
say,
Spy Kids.
I was gonna say something, but I was gonna wait for you to find like I was like, I feel like he didn't grow up with Spy Kids. But I was like,
Yeah,
we're gonna let it
that's
ride.
true. That is true. He seems like someone that's like, I'm not watching that. And hey, this is a good segue. Something that another thing I have not watched and I chose not to watch was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Really?
Talk about I don't know. It just was creepy from the trailers, and I was like, I'm not watching this.
Oh,
And
it's a
also, you
trip.
know what it is? I'm allergic to chocolate, and the whole big thing was like, oh, this is chocolate. I don't want to watch this crap. They just flaunted the thing I can't eat.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually interesting. I've never talked to somebody who hasn't watched it because they're allergic to chocolate. I respect that.
Yeah.
Again,
Hey,
look, you learn something new about somebody every day.
but
Allergic
I
to
gotta watch it
chocolate.
because I love Wonka. So
Yeah.
I feel like I need to go back and watch it now.
So yeah, Willy Wonka, as Ken just said in the chat, Willy Wonka is a trip. It is a trip, 100%. Um, but man, I loved it as a kid just because it was so out there. It was something that was just grounded enough in reality to where
Mm,
I could see it happen. I was like, you know what? Maybe just I think another byline throughout all of these is when I was a kid, I loved things that were just convincing enough to where I could be like, I wonder if this is real. Could there be like a chocolate
mhm.
factory, in Antarctica that I didn't know existed or something like that? You know what I'm saying? So I thought it was super crazy. I thought it was super creepy, but I loved every second of it because Gene Wilder, his performance as Willy Wonka is unhinged, but yet he seems like that weird uncle that you have that's like super kind of distant, but then he's also deep down inside really lovable and, is kind-hearted, but he's buried beneath a lot of whether it's, childhood trauma or all that kind of stuff. I felt like there was enough there from Gene that made me sympathize with him enough to where I was like, you know what? This guy he might be missing a screw, but
Mhm.
he seems like he's pretty cool. And I think for me, like, just I am the opposite. I am not allergic to chocolate. I love chocolate, and for
Love it.
me, I was like, dude, I would give my right arm to be in that chocolate factory. I would trade my place with any of those kids. Let me in there and let me go to town. So my imagination could just run crazy every time I watched that. I was like, dude, and the special effects and the practical effects they used are still pretty good. Like for it being what I think it was in the 70s,
Probably.
80s,
I'm gonna look
something
it up
like that.
while you talk
Yeah,
about it.
my gut says late 70s, but I could be wrong.
Yep,
Um,
71.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, that's old. That's old.
Mhm.
And they definitely tried their best to make it look as convincing as possible. The Pure Imagination song and the Oompa Loompa song are both bangers in my opinion. All hits, no misses. And I feel like for me, it's just something that I can go back to as an adult, still acknowledge that it's not winning any Oscars, but It is enjoyable, and I've consistently enjoyed it since my childhood. I haven't fallen out of love with it and then
Mhm.
come back to it. I've consistently just enjoyed it for what it is. Also, the older I get, the more I realize that Grandpa Joe is an a-hole. That man was literally not working for years, not helping out the starving family. And then Charlie's like, I got a ticket. He's like, yo, runs around. He's doing a jig. I'm like, where was that this whole time? Like, were you just mentally struggling? Because like physically you could have helped, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna let that be. I'm gonna let that be.
He was checked out apparently from because I was looking up some questions and things like that and some fun facts. This one, there's a lot of unanswered questions from this movie apparently. Obviously, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But so let me know if this is an unanswered question for real, since you're a fan of the franchise. It says, "What is this creepy guy with the knife cart doing outside the Wonka factory?"
Oh my God, you're right. I need that to be in Wonka too. Please explain how that happened. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's morbid.
So some of the people were answering saying it's like he was chopping up these kids, and I was like, no, I hope not. This is where they got the chocolate from. I was like, oh god, no, no, no.
That's morbid. My gosh.
I was like, yeah, the creepy guy with the knife. When I saw that, I was like, I gotta ask him to
Yeah,
see
I
if he has
had
any
no
theories.
idea. No idea. That's crazy. I feel like that's gotta be like someone from Slugworth or, maybe I don't know, like somebody, I don't know, someone that's like waiting for the kids to come out after they've been stretched and pulled and like Veronica or whatever her name was, that was the blueberry. Like maybe he was just
Yeah.
waiting to get his hands on some kids and experiment on
Oh
them. Who
my
knows?
god.
The
Yeah.
the dark
Wow.
story of Wonka
I
confirmed.
know. We need the whole behind the scenes. I know they're waiting for Dune to hit for the announce Wonka 2, but I need Wonka 2.
Please,
And I needed to get a little dark like that
please, please.
because I really
Ma-
love the first one.
Make it PG-13 if it wasn't already.
Yeah, I think the first one was PG. I don't remember
Oh yeah.
anything being too crazy in it. So yeah, make it PG-13. Willy Wonka's did creepy. It's phenomenal, but it's definitely creepy. With the adult eyes, it's like, what the F is happening? Call the police.
Yeah. This man Wonka is making children fill out these long disclosures with fine print and stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, no, it's
No
weird.
parents. While
No,
I grew up with Willy Wonka, it might not be as it seems. All I'm gonna say is that I never watched Wilder's Wonka movie. Oh,
give it a
you
shot.
watched the
Johnny
Johnny
Depp
Depp
one.
one.
That's a trip. You thought Wonka
Yeah.
was a trip. The other one was a trip too.
Gene Wilder, you get
You get
nothing, you
nothing.
lose.
You lose. Good day, sir.
One thing I'll say is that Gene Wilder and Timothy Chalamet look so similar. It's so weird.
That's what
I
was
was
make
like,
or break for the new Wonka movie for me. I was like, how much does he invoke Gene Wilder? And he did just enough to where I was like, oh, I'm sold. I'm so
yeah,
sold.
the effects are as good as the first two Superman movies, which is also pretty good. Yeah,
Good comparison.
practical effects are so important. There's
Write
so
that
many
down.
movies from 2010 up that are gonna look so bad in a couple years because they've been just so VFX heavy and using the volume that is good. Like people who are like just being born now and when they're 20 go back to watch them like, oh, especially phase 4 and 5
Please
MCU.
don't get me started on that, Zach. I'm begging you, please don't.
They're gonna watch
Don't do it.
Thor Love and Thunder like, what the hell is this?
Don't do this. Don't do this.
Grandpa Joe was on some bullshit.
He was. That man played everyone like a damn fiddle.
Let's also say that there's a special pirate that played Wonka in the Willy Wonka movie I grew up with. Ooh,
Hmm.
interesting.
Interesting.
Willy Wonka turning into a Hitchcock murder film is not too much of a
Let's
stretch.
get a fan film going.
Yeah.
Crowdfund it.
Just not from the Blood and Honey people. Look,
No,
let's
no.
keep it away from
They
them.
got their sequel. Let them focus on
Yes.
that.
Yeah, let them focus on that. Something that I hope they never touch is Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Talk to Monsters Inc. That's
Yeah.
something I've watched and love to
Good. Okay.
death.
Man, because if
So
you're gonna
you
say I haven't seen Monsters Inc., I would have just dropped off this stream right here. Be like, nah, we're not finishing this.
it's like, why am I here?
Nah, I see no point. Nah. So all right, Monsters Inc. Bro, what do I say about Monsters Inc? Monsters Inc. is my favorite Pixar movie of all time.
Hmm.
Book it. My favorite. I think The storyline is phenomenal. The voice acting is on point. I think John Goodman and Billy Crystal are some of the best duos, or is probably one of the best duos in animation history. Their comedic chops and their ability to just bounce off each other is phenomenal. And the fact that they took this concept and put it into existence. Look, Zach, if you would have spent a couple weeks, maybe even just a week, and sat down and tried to come up with a concept, how how incredible is it to be able to come up with a concept like this, where it's monsters working at a corporate job where their job is to harvest screams from kids using doors with a little red light on it, and it's treated like it's our world but just reversed,
Yeah.
all based around the one concept of there's a monster in your closet.
Yeah.
One sentence, there's a monster in your closet, and they made a 1 hour and 50-minute movie of just pure animation excellence off of that. It's amazing. The music is phenomenal. The do-do-do-do-do, just, dude, I hum that in my head all the time. Whenever the credits roll, that's another thing. When you know the music slaps, you don't skip the credits.
Nope.
You
You
stay
sit
there
there
for the
for it.
whole thing.
Yeah.
And every time, no matter how many times I've seen this movie, I'm going to keep the credits rolling because I will rock out to that song all day, every day. I thought Randall was a phenomenal villain. My gosh, is it Steve Buscemi that played him?
I want to say yes, but I'm gonna look it up.
Pretty sure it's Steve Buscemi.
Let's look up this amazing cast. Yep.
Yep.
Steve.
Perfectly cast. And he was scary. Like as a kid,
Yeah.
watching him hook up that tube that sucks out the screams and having like their lips get all red and literally get the life drained out of them in a kids movie. That was scary,
It's
man.
terrifying.
I couldn't look away. I was like, oh my gosh, Randall's gonna find me and do that to me as a 5 to 8 year old. I was like, dude, that'll make me poop my pants. And for me, it's like, what else could you want from this movie? I think the romance with Mike and his love interest Celia, just the heart of friendship about how Mike and Sully's relationship drives the entire movie, and it gets tested when Boo is brought into the picture. But yet also seeing someone like Sully open his heart up and start to really take care of the little girl. I mean, there's so many wholesome moments in this film that we'd be here all night just talking about it.
And just layers. You're talking about how many layers and ties that they have in the film that the kids are not like, when we watch that, you might not get, but you watch it again as older, like, let me see if this holds up. And you're like, oh, I didn't catch that. Oh, I just went through that. Oh my God. Like just the fact, we don't get a lot of bromance in films. A lot of times it's men fighting men. Or even if they're on the same side, they're like always arguing. So the fact that they had such a bromance and they got tested and they made their way through, awesome. Like Kenny said, Boo was so cute.
She's so cute. She's adorable.
He's so adorable.
And look, to this day, my wife and I, so we have a baby girl, and whenever we're, passing her off, changing her diaper, and one of us has to put her back in the bassinet, one of us always runs with her around the house going, put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. And we'll just start running around pretending like we're Mike Wazowski. Never fails. Never fails.
This is how I feel about Boo.
He's so fluffy, I'm gonna die.
I just want to die.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh man, let's see what the chat is saying. They're going crazy about Monsters Inc.
Keep the love coming.
Oh, this is what Dark Movies was talking about. He was talking about because he saw the Johnny Depp one.
Got it.
Pirates of the Caribbean, which is the film that we're going to be talking about soon.
Stay tuned.
Really interesting. I should have kept that for the segue. I messed up on that one.
All good. You can't win them all.
You can't win them all. So, like you said, such a fantastic original idea. And the thing is, what is missing sometimes in a lot of films, and this is not always the filmmaker's problem, because sometimes it's just Hollywood not believing in original ideas.
Right.
There's so many myths, legends from different cultures that I wish that they would do stuff like this with. Like a myth, a different Indian culture heard, and you just make a movie out of that, and you just build upon it and apply a little bit of realism to it. There's a little movie that came out last year called It Lives Inside. That was a horror film. Yeah, that was about an Indian monster. And it had all this lore that was very different from all the like monsters you hear. The only thing that was the problem is it relied too much on the cliches, but that was probably because the studio was like, well, you need to do the regular stuff so people understand what they're watching.
Right.
And I wish that we could do something more like a Monsters Inc., where they did the stuff to ground it, but it didn't feel like it. You know what I mean? Like it still feels wholly original and different from everything, but they still have the characterizations to ground it in a way where oh, I know somebody like that. And that's why you can love the monsters.
But the problem is that's out there. It just takes work.
Yeah.
You got to work to come up with these concepts and do your research. And this takes, I mean, the team at Pixar took way longer to do, the concepts for their projects back then. And
Mhm.
it takes way more work as opposed to just grabbing something that is going to make enough to break even and then move on.
And copy and paste.
Yep.
Hey, through the lens. Welcome to the live stream, man. Glad to see you back in the YouTube game. And he said he gave you the sub.
Hey,
Nice.
welcome to the fam. Welcome to the fam.
You're not going to be mad. He's a great guy. He said when Silly puts the door together at the end, tears. Facts.
Every time. I could watch it a million times and still tear up.
Oh, we got somebody that's not a Willy Wonka fan. I cannot stand the original Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory movie. It scares me, but I'm interested in a new one. Okay. That's fair. If some people don't like being scared.
Look,
some people don't watch movies for that.
That tunnel sequence, that'll put the fear of God in you. I'll tell you that.
Especially as a child.
Yeah. He's just standing there like Willy's just like, we're coming for you. And it's like, whoa, dude, what? What are you doing?
Turn off.
Yep.
It lives inside of the great film. See? I love the lore of it's inside, but the film itself is kind of stinky. I love the varying degrees.
Like, yeah. Like the lore.
It's a bit much. It's a decent film. That's fair. Yeah, I'll agree. It's not. It's interesting enough to watch because it's so different. But I'm not telling nobody it's gonna blow you away. But a movie that blew me away as a kid, and obviously you, because it's the number one movie that I have here, and I saved it for the main event, is Toy Story 2. Almost did that backwards. Talk about the importance of this film. Why is it important to you? Why is it important to animation? Just like why is it important in general?
So for me, Toy Story 2 is better than Toy Story 1. I've had many discussions with people. Most of them have disagreed, but I think it does more. And it takes see, you heard me say this earlier. I love a sequel when it can take what the first movie presented and make it better. Not be mediocre, not just hold it down, but make it better. Does not mean the first movie is bad. It means that the first movie paved the way, so it walked so that Toy Story 2 could run. Yeah. And as a kid, again, loved the first Toy Story, so I was already automatically going to love it as a kid, but I felt like there was so much more happening because, of course, with the increased budget, they got to go more places and it opened up the world a little bit more, where we got to go to Al's Toy Barn. We got to see what life was like outside of Andy's room in a more detailed way. And also deal with this struggle, the struggle that Woody had of just rediscovering himself and finding out whether he wants to live his life in the box or loved by his favorite person, Andy. And for me, that's a really powerful thing. Also, the storyline that came out of nowhere that even as a kid really moved me was Jesse's story. The When Somebody Loved Me scene.
Yeah.
A beautiful, beautiful scene. I cried when I was a kid and I didn't know why I was crying. Like it was sad. It was sad. It's beautiful. It lingers. It doesn't trade things up for a quick joke, or it doesn't botch your character. Yeah, thank you. It just it's beautiful. And again, so many quotable lines in this. So I remember when I was younger, probably a little bit above kindergarten age, I was quoting that thing when I was on the playground with the kids at recess, and we were reenacting the "I'm Your Father" scene with Zurg, where he's like, "You've killed my father." No, I hadn't watched Star Wars yet, so I didn't even know we were quoting Star Wars. I was just like, "This is a funny quote, so let's reenact it." And I'd push people off of the slide and be Zurg, and then I got detention, and my mom picked me up from school, and I had the frowny face on my report card because I assaulted kids when in reality we were just reenacting Toy Story. They agreed to it, so I see no problem. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it was so much more than just the novelty of toys becoming alive, like it wasn't just the first movie. It just really expanded on it, and just it didn't like all the characters were so likable. Stinky Pete was a great twist villain, especially when you're a kid, never seen a movie like that. It makes you truly go, "What just happened? Stinky Pete is evil?" And it's so well balanced. It's so well balanced. And my parents and I and my sisters, we watched that again all the time because it never got old. And I love it. Love it so much.
And at the movie's beginning, there's a little trivia. You probably know this because you brought it up. I think you brought it up. Where's Woody planning to go with Andy for the first few days?
Japan. Oh wait, no, wait. You're talking about Andy, right?
Yeah.
They're going to it's like a summer camp.
Cowboy camp.
Yeah,
Yes.
because he had the
Let's
cowboy
go.
hat on. Yeah.
Yes. And also, when the real Buzz shows up in Al's apartment, the toys are confused which Buzz is their friend. How do they figure it out?
I was almost thinking about what was the other movie? Where they couldn't tell the difference between each other, and one of them's like, "You're a dick." He's like, "Oh, that's the real one."
Oh, yeah.
Which movie was that? I forgot.
Oh, my
gosh.
God.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, so sorry, that's
Yes.
where my brain went. Because he's like, "I am. Who's the real Buzz? I am." Oh, he takes off his helmet, and then he's like gasping for air, and then the other Buzz is just like, and they're like, "Buzz!" Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That was one of the. I remember laughing that hard. I was laughing so hard.
Ken,
Oh, wait.
X-Men 2000, Wolverine, when they couldn't tell the
Oh,
difference.
yes.
Yeah,
'Cause it
thank
was
you so
Mystique.
much. Yes.
He said that to, I think, Cyclops. Yes.
He's like, "How do I know I can
remember
trust
that.
you?" He's like, "You're a dick." He's like, "Got it."
Got it. That's great. I hope they not recreate that moment, but like make sure that those characters have that chemistry.
Please.
Let's see. Where was I?
Now you said you enjoyed it just as much. So I mean, would you say you liked it for the same reasons?
Yes. I think a lot of the deeper themes I probably didn't catch when I was younger. Like you said, it's on the rewatch. Because I think after Toy Story 3, I decided to go rewatch Toy Story 1 and 2 again when I
Mhm.
got Toy Story 3 like on physical media.
Yeah.
I was like, I started catching things and I was like, wow. Because first I had like 3, 1, 2. That was my ranking order.
Okay.
And right now I still have 3 as number 1 because it's just that ending. And then but it's 3, 2, 1 now. Like in like
I'm with you.
descending.
I'm with you.
Because a lot of the things that you're talking about, the twist villain, like you talk about the having another Buzz come in and to show the difference of how much he's
humanity.
grown from the first
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, it's just a lot of that, and you talk about Zurg. What a play on Darth Vader,
Just a subtle spoof, just a
Yeah.
little subtle, like,
But not disrespectful.
no,
No,
no. It's
like
in your
some people
face,
don't know
but
how to do spoofs properly, and they did it.
yeah. I mean, they were so smooth with it. Now that I'm older and I can recognize, I was like, oh, y'all thought you were cute.
Hey, Through the Lens, thank you for even jumping in for a little bit. I appreciate you. I'm gonna see you soon. Hopefully, I can check out your video soon. All 3 Toy Story movies are excellent. I agree.
No lies detected.
You guys sold me, Jonah. I've been on a journey trying to find the scariest film ever made, and we'll try Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka next.
It's not scary. It's just weird.
It's just weird. Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just weird. I don't. Based on what I'm hearing, I never heard other than Collectible Movie Man. I never really heard that it was that scary. But Collectible Movie Man doesn't like scary movies, so
Right. Just trippy.
Toy Story 4 can go lie in a ditch somewhere. Jesus.
And I will bury it. They can lie in the ditch and I will grab the shovel and bury it myself. My
I'm
wife
not
loves
watching
Toy Story
yet.
4. I can't stand it. We both saw it in theaters. We both walked out. She's like, I loved it. I was like, that was an abomination. But I will
Wow.
reserve opinions for future comments.
I did feel weird that they made 4 after 3 because I did feel like it was the perfect ending.
And they're making a 5th one.
Yep.
Stop it. Get some help.
They said 4 was enjoyable, good ending, but right, 3 is way better. Yep. Cosmic was a playground terrorist.
You know it. And I do it again.
Do it again. I've seen Monsters Inc., but only saw it a few years ago. I actually liked it. I saw the first one. That's it. Oh,
Monsters University is underrated.
I actually haven't
That is
seen Monsters
underrated.
University. I feel like
Please.
that's a shame. Go watch it.
Did you like attend any form of like college, high school? Like, did you get any idea of the environment of like, yeah, please do. Because some people who haven't experienced high school or college, they don't quite understand as much. But yeah, you will love Monsters University.
Yes. 5 years of college. So
heck yeah. You will be so happy with the movie.
Okay. Grew up with Toy Stories 1 through 3, and yes, it was surprising because I'm only 16, but I did rewatch the entire franchise a year ago and the first time seeing 4. Okay.
Toby's staying with it.
Yeah.
He's sticking around.
Monsters
Ken,
University.
you too. I'm keeping y'all
What the-
accountable. I'm gonna be checking in on y'all. I'll be like, have you seen Monsters University yet?
Have you seen it? 1 through 3 is amazing, but 4 is decent, but we do not, and I say do not need a 5th one.
Facts.
Well, unfortunately, we are getting a 5th one, but we are done with his childhood. So this is about 5 through 8, maybe a little before, maybe a little bit after, maybe 9 and 10. And for what I could sum up here, you liked a lot of movies that were family centric.
Yep.
You liked a lot of movies that push things that you've never seen before. These are the things that affected you in terms of animation, storylines, twists. And I can see why these coming movies and how you as a teenager which led to you to go into there. So this is very, very interesting. So we're going into the teenage years, the preteen teenage years. So this is going to be a big chunk in your life, actually, because this is probably like 12, like 10, 11, 12, up until 18, basically.
I'd say 10 to about 16, 17, because a switch flipped about
17.
from 17 on to where I'm at now. So I'd say about 10
Gotcha.
to 17.
So 10 to 17. Okay, so let's go to the middle. We're going to start with Narnia.
Ooh. So now we're going to start actually getting to the stuff that's in the thumbnail. So franchises are about to franchise. For me, the Chronicles of Narnia, specifically The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We're not talking about Prince Caspian or Voyage of the Dawn Treader. So the original Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is really, really good if you grew up on it. I think a lot of people have struggled to go back and watch it. Hey, Toby. See, look, Toby is my dude. But so a lot of people I've talked to in my circles these days really struggle to go back and watch it because they didn't grow up on it. And there's a couple franchises that we'll talk about soon that's the same vibe. And I grew up reading all of the Narnia books. I was a very avid reader. I read everything I could get my hands on. I read the almanac, the World Almanac, because I ran out of stuff to read in the house. And that was back before phones and all that jazz. So I read whatever I could get a hold of. I read the Narnia books so much. And when I saw that they were making a movie, I was like, oh, I'm so down. And I was so pleasantly surprised that they honored a lot of the biggest parts of the book without taking the creative liberties that ruined other franchises. And so for me, it is everything that represents that period of my life because I was very impressionable and very easily impressed is probably a good way to put it. Is even at that age, I wasn't overly critical. I just enjoyed it for what it was. And it's this sweeping epic that resembles something like Lord of the Rings or, something like Harry Potter. It's kind of sneaks in bits and pieces from other things, but stays very active to C.S. Lewis and his vision. And the music, the swooping landscape of the climactic final battle, the swelling of the orchestra, the iconic main theme, just the parallels of the allegory of Narnia to, if you're not religious, there are certain aspects of this that everyone can get a hold of because it was based off of, loosely events that transpired in the Bible. However, it's something that anyone could get a hold of. And it's the classic good versus evil. And as a preteen, seeing someone like Peter, lead the group of siblings, was something that inspired me because I still struggled with identity, especially during that time. And seeing the way he was quite a little unsure about himself and a little unsure about his capabilities as the older brother. I'm the middle child, so I have an older sister and a younger sister. It was something that really spoke to me because I was like, wow, he stepped up to the plate and led when his back was against the wall and came through for his family. So that was something very important that I got from it. I thought it was, I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything in my notes. So I actually wrote down the visual effects still hold up pretty well. Aslan, the lion, fantastic. I didn't even realize till I was older that he was voiced by Liam Neeson. So I was like, holy crap, dang. And also James McAvoy is in this. You know,
Oh
he
wow.
plays Mr. Tumnus, and he was a younger dude back then, and I didn't realize it till I was older. But there are some A1 actors in here that are doing a great job. You know, they're not just phoning it in. And I loved the seriousness that they or the seriousness in which they handled the film, and you can really feel that.
So I was gonna say, hey, sell it to me because I've never seen any of the Narnia films. It's something that I've heard of, but some reason it just missed me. It wasn't a thing like I didn't want to watch it. I
Mhm.
just didn't hear about it till way later, and at that point, I was like, I'm just not gonna go back because I just wasn't at that point in my cinematic journey to go back to old films. I was like,
Right.
move forward. What's new?
Right. Not so
So
much go back, go back.
yeah, now I'm going back so much. This sounds like something because now we're actually getting, and I want to ask you a question about that since you're such a big
I know
fan,
what you're
especially the
gonna
first
say.
one. Greta Gerwig, the writer and director of Barbie, is going to be adapting it for Netflix
Mhm.
as a television series, which I find is a great medium for book adaptation because you kind of get to stretch it out as long as the book is and
Mhm.
get all the details in there and
Mhm.
versus a movie which for a movie like that the max you probably can do on a budget like that is 2 hours. When you start getting past that, you
Mhm.
start waning on people.
Mhm.
We've seen that with a lot of the 3 hour films that we've had in the past 2 years. um so how do you feel about them doing an adaptation, and not only of that, of Harry Potter as well? Turning these books that were classic films and has a big base, they did with Percy Jackson as well, and making it a television show that's gonna be 10 episodes, 10 hours long, multiple seasons.
I think my faith is definitely waning,
Mhm,
considering just the state of where we're at right now. One of the videos I'm working on is the impact of Disney Plus and how it's hurt the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And
mhm,
I think that translates over to this, where, of course, I want things to be good. I always want things to be good. But this will have to be a wait and see. I will not actively be campaigning against it, but
mhm.
I'm going to be cautiously optimistic because just like Harry Potter, you mess with the OGs and you don't do it right, you gonna have fans up in arms,
Yeah.
furious about how you're handling their characters. Because spoiler alert, I was never a big Harry Potter fan. I only saw
Mhm.
the first one, lost interest, and I was like, "This ain't for me. I'm gonna watch Star Wars again." That's just me. But I will hold my same opinion for Harry Potter that I do with Narnia, where I think it's an interesting choice to go down this road, and it won't necessarily be bad as long as you put the time and effort into it. Because, for example, Daredevil is a phenomenal TV show that Netflix
Mhm.
put out. They put the time, effort, and energy into it for 3 seasons, and it shows. You put the time, effort, and energy into anything, and you will see results. So if that happens with Narnia, heck yeah, dude, I'm in 100%. But don't think you can just capitalize on previous successes and translate that into there goes my alarm. That was weird. Um, but you don't think you can take that and translate it into success now. You have to put the work in just like you did before.
Do you have more faith? I know it's Netflix. I I feel like Netflix has, when it comes to television shows, they do a really good job.
I agree.
Especially when adapting stuff as well. A lot of people love the One Piece. I'm hearing a lot of people. I hear that the Avatar show is divisive, but I hear a lot more good than I'm hearing bad so far. But on top of Netflix being good at adapting stuff and making television shows more than movies,
Mhm.
do you have more faith in it because Greta Gerwig, who I feel is 3 for 3 so far in terms of film, is going to be writing it and like basically the showrunner?
What was her previous movies other than Barbie?
Little Women and Lady Bird.
Yeah, so I saw Little Women. Little Women was good. I enjoyed that. Haven't seen Lady Bird, so I've seen 2 out of
Okay.
the 3. I thought Barbie was good. I didn't
Yeah.
think it was amazing.
Okay.
Um, but it doesn't mean that Greta Gerwig is a bad director or writer, because how many times have we seen directors and writers suppressed by the needs of the company or the studio that hired them?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not gonna say Gerwig equals failure. It's more so prove me right or prove me wrong. Make it happen, Captain. That's all I gotta say. So
Gotcha.
I will stay optimistic, but also will not expect greatness until I actually get to see the finished product.
Gotcha. You probably feel a little bit better when you see a trailer.
Absolutely. But even so,
See the
how
tone.
many times I saw Secret Invasion's trailer and I was like, yo, this is going to be sick. And then I came out of that out of that TV show more mad than I've been in my life.
Give me a virtual high five because I feel exactly the same. I watched this, I reacted to it. I was like, yeah.
Captain America Winter Soldier, the sequel. Let's get it. And I was like,
Yes. I was hoping
why?
like an extension of Falcon and Winter Soldier's tone, but just elevate it a little bit, just a little bit more. Get closer to Winter Soldier, and it was just nowhere close to Falcon and Winter Soldier at all.
If Fumbling the Bag was a TV show,
Oh my
that
god.
would be it.
Like, I get Sam Jackson has limitations. He's like, oh, 7. If he's not 70, he's almost 70. He can't do action. You have Patriot right there. You introduced him in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Just have him be the guy that does action for him. Have him be the man behind the chair. And Patriot,
Like he's always
Patriot's
been.
mission.
Sam Jackson's always been the man in the chair, but it's his charisma that's carried him.
Exactly. He doesn't need to fight.
Oh,
Oh man. But
That's no
that
tangent.
show has more issues than that. God.
that show has more issues than Ultimate Spider-Man right now.
Oh no.
Oh no, that wasn't a shot. I just meant Ultimate Spider-Man has a lot of comic book issues.
Oh,
Ah ha ha ha.
good
There
one.
it is.
I like
There
it.
it is.
I like it. Let's see what the people have to say. So we got big Narnia.
Let's go.
Narnia's Norwegian dub go crazy.
Bro, I feel like
know.
Toby and I are best friends in another life. Like if you were on the other side of the world, man, I'd be like, yo, let's chill. Let's hang out.
I've only seen the first Narnia, but that was decades ago. Yeah, it came out a long time ago.
2005, I think.
I've never seen Harry Potter film or Lord of the Rings. I know.
Ooh, spicy.
That's spicy. I've seen the first 4 films and then I tapped out. Of Harry Potter.
Got bored?
Huh?
Did you get bored?
Yeah, I just kind of felt like I was at a point where it was getting repetitive. It felt in terms of like the character growth. And I
spells
read
can
the
you
first
cast?
5 books, and I tapped out after the 5th book. So I got to the 5th book, got up to the 4th movie, and I was just like, I think my taste has just grown. Maybe I might go back and watch them, and there's things I didn't catch just to finish them. But yeah, I just tapped out of it, and usually I don't.
That is interesting because I know you've always been more of a completionist.
Yeah, I should be shamed with that one. No shame. Well, and not for me. There's so many movies I haven't seen, and just
this is
like
a shame-free zone.
Jonah, he's tons of movies he hasn't seen either. He's seen the big franchise, but we talked about it. He would never say he's a cinephile because it's probably haven't seen the big indie movie everyone loves.
Nope. Not that I don't want to. It's just all vibes.
Yeah. Do not cite the deep magic to me, which I was there when it was written.
Facts.
Is that a Narnia thing?
Yeah, that's what Aslan says in it. And again, Liam Neeson's voice is like,
seen that forever and didn't realize that comes from Narnia.
Yeah, Liam Neeson is the GOAT in that film.
Hey, Exact Line Talk movies.
Zach,
what's up? Thank you for being in the live stream, man. Thank you for loving this collab, man. It's been a long time coming. I hit him up like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, let's do this.
Let's make it happen.
Zach just found his next Throwback Thursday perfect after Lord of the Rings. Ooh.
You got 3 movies, my dude. You got Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. You got Prince Caspian. You got Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Let's see it.
I still have 4 Lord of the Rings movies to do. Oh my god.
Oof.
Such a long series.
Oof.
Why did I do
They're like
so much
4 hours each, too.
Yo, the next one is 4 hours and 45 minutes.
Rest in peace.
I know. I'm like, when am I gonna watch? I was gonna watch it tomorrow, but I was like, I got Dune at 7. By the time I start the movie, I might be late for that movie.
Yep. That's a commitment. It's not a movie, it's a commitment.
Yeah. Wait, huh? What did I miss? Greta Gerwig. So before she did Barbie, she signed up to do 3 seasons of a Narnia adaptation for Netflix start. So, which I'm like, damn, I wish she did. I know, like, when you're a director writer, you have to sign up for your next job before the next thing come out because you never know, it might fail. Barbie could have failed, you know?
Yeah.
Easily could have failed. So you never know. So you just need to sign up. Just in case. It did not
fail. Made like $1 billion.
Yeah. So I wish she would have held off because I feel like she could have got something way bigger than doing a Netflix show. But maybe they're paying her big. Gerwig is really a fascinating choice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He agrees with you. Daredevil. I'm so glad that they're bringing it back for season 4. I'm calling it season 4.
But is it season 4?
I know. Just the fact that they're bringing back my boy Bullseye, they're bringing back Karen, they're bringing back the OG people after they weren't going to do it, makes me feel like it's not going to be. It's Spirit. It'll be season 4. You know, a lot of time has passed, so
I could take
can't be.
I could take a carton of milk and put it in someone else's fridge. Doesn't mean that that's my fridge. It's not the
That's
same
true.
fridge. You're just
It
taking out
might not
something you
feel the
knew and
same.
put it somewhere else. Sorry. Look,
Yeah.
one thing I cannot be messed with is Daredevil. I will defend my expectations for Born Again,
Sky high.
I can't even reach the ceiling, but if I could, it'd be up there.
I wonder if they're still gonna do 18 episodes.
I
don't
think they're
know.
going to cut it down to 13. Make it more
That's
similar
fair.
to
Like
the first
the
3.
original.
Yep.
Yeah, that's smart.
They're
That's smart.
hooking me slowly but
Yeah.
surely.
Daredevil 3. Oh yeah. Season 3 specifically is such.
My wife and I are rewatching that right now. Literally, probably when we're done with this live stream, we're gonna go watch another episode. Just
So good.
beautiful, beautiful.
I commend like the Netflix shows and the Arrowverse for making me and my mom closer, because like those are the shows that we watch together. That
That's
and then
awesome.
I watch some of her cop shows with her. Like we trade off. She's like, "Well, you watch my cop shows with me, I'll watch some of your superhero crap." And then she's like, "Oh, I love this shit. When's the next season?"
Did you watch Blacklist with her?
No, you think that's
Netflix?
just something I should watch with her?
It's worth a
Blacklist.
peek. Worth a peek. Worth a peek.
Okay.
Give it a shot. One season. Give it a shot. See how she likes it.
Gotcha. I'm gonna do it. Need to see Avatar show for Netflix, but One Piece live action is actually really great. I'll take your word for it. I'm gonna watch it eventually. I didn't watch the anime, just wasn't for me. Netflix is hit or miss like every other studio, of course.
Yeah. Netflix has just had bigger hits.
Yeah, I watched it when I was younger. The Lion Witch is in the wardrobe.
Yep.
Is that what it is? Lion Witch in the wardrobe?
So it's the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But they are technically
Little
all
Women.
in the wardrobe.
Yeah, a lot of Little Women was fantastic. Look, that movie, I was watching it and I got to the first like half and I was like, this is what people are hyping up. And then the second half happened. I was like,
oh.
this.
Patience, young one. Patience.
Yeah.
Gotta let it develop.
I tried reading the books. I just couldn't get into them.
The old one was good too. The old Little Women.
Isn't hers the third one? I think that's the third remake of Little Women.
Is it? Because I remember the one from I think it was the 90s where Christian Bale was in it.
That he was playing Timothy Chalamet's character.
Yeah. That's the one I remember. So I didn't know there was another one too.
Is that the one with Winona Ryder? I think she's in it.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, so before that one, there's one I think that came out in the 70s or something. Like real old.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Still need to see Lady Bird. Me too. I need to see Lady Bird because they're saying that she's her next thing after Narnia is done is Lady Bird 2. I was like, oh, we're making sequels to indie films? Okay. Man, Secret Invasion was infuriatingly disappointing. A big nothing burger. That's a perfect description. I stopped with the Secret Invasion. I saw 2 episodes and I was like, nope, get this off my screen. Damn.
You made the right choice.
Toby's usually pretty positive about stuff. He was like, no.
I wish I could unsee that.
Dave Show, welcome to the live stream, my guy. You're never late. I'm glad you're here. Liam Neeson is a great actor. He is.
Facts.
I know he's been getting a lot of shit because he's been doing booty movies for the last 10 years.
Let the man chill. Yeah. He's got the resume.
Money. Yeah. When I'm older, I'm coming to America. Maybe get some money as well. Hey, do your thing, man. Come here, make some money.
Hey, if you're ever around Virginia, hit me up.
Hey, I've seen a lot of movies. There's a lot I haven't seen as well. Same here. I used to watch a lot of bad movies that I liked. That was my thing. There was so many bad. That's why when people are like, this is the worst movie ever. I'm like, did you see?
Speak for yourself.
Did you see Mega Lightning? Because I always reference that movie anytime somebody's like, this is the worst. Did you see Mega Lightning from last year? No. I'll watch that first. It's impossible to see everything. Yeah. Even if I decided to watch one movie every day until I died, I still wouldn't watch everything. It's impossible. I've been putting off Return of the King for weeks. Yo, man, look, Kenny, if you want to do a 4 or 5 hour watch along with me,
do it. You won't. You won't. Do it.
We'll be support animals for each other.
Link arms together and unify. Y'all are in this together.
The Harry Potter movies are amazing. Okay.
Totally respect it.
13 is still amazing. 13. Oh, he's saying
Episodes, yeah.
for Daredevil Born Again. Okay. It's weird to call it Daredevil Born Again when that's exactly what season. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Season
Even
3
down
is
to
an
like,
adaptation.
yeah, even down to Daredevil. I mean, Bullseye killing was going to be Karen, but then the priest jumped in, father, homeboy, or whatever, and jumped in and took the like. That's right from the comics.
Yeah. Been rewatching them. Did them in the Defenders order like Daredevil first. And I love doing that because you can see the progression of how good the shows get because the production and the writing gets better as the shows go on. I've never seen Daredevil season 2 and 3 though. I say it's amazing, but I've only watched season 1. Get on it, man.
Start now.
Yeah, word. Let's see. I was 21 when the final Harry Potter movie. 4.5 hour watch.
Yeah, y'all gonna
as long as we get an intermission.
I was just about to say, y'all gonna need a bathroom break, at least one, and then maybe get some food.
At least one. Speaking of intermissions and long movies and Return of the King,
I know
the next movie is Lord of the Rings. Perfect transition.
Just like we drew it up.
Yep.
Oh, I feel bad talking about this.
I can talk to you about this because I finally seen it. I saw the first one last year.
So, all right. So, again, when you had me pick these, I'm going to pick them with a specific movie in mind. So I won't talk about the whole trilogy. In this case, it's going to be the first one, Fellowship of the Ring, because people love to crap on Lord of the Rings. Like,
really?
A lot of people I've talked to merely because of the length, and they say it's boring. They're like, Lord of the Rings is boring and it's too long. And I asked them, I'm like, how long have you spent on TikTok with those 2-second videos that always have something playing on the bottom so that you never lose your attention? You know, like, I miss the days when you could actually sit down, watch a movie, and then not immediately go, ooh, piece of candy. And so for me, it's like, there's nothing wrong with splitting it up. It is a long movie, but it's the people who don't even give it a chance. Extended always. Okay. I'm that kind of a person. So it's the people who don't give it a chance and are talking crap about it being too long because they just looked at the runtime, or they got 5 minutes in and they're like, oh, they're setting up stuff. Oh, there's foreshadowing. Nah, I don't want that. And I think for me, I bring the perspective of I didn't read the books before I watched the movie. So I didn't know what was going on when I was younger. And ironically, the dude who, like I said before, read all the books in the world, ironically, that's the one series I didn't get my hands on. And I watched it.
They're big boys.
Yeah, those things are massive. And I had the opportunity to just look at it through a fresh perspective. And I did have the time to sit back and just experience them. And they are experiences. Like I mentioned earlier, they are not movies. You do have to look at it as an experience and just enjoy the world building, the makeup, the costumes, the CGI that holds up to this freaking day. And it was 2000. They shot some of the stuff in the late 90s as they were prepping for it. Like
this day, to this day, to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. To this day, it holds up. And I just, the attention to detail, they handled these characters masterfully. They did not, they added things that weren't in the book, but they never removed what made those characters special. Samwise Gamgee is the best character out of all 3 movies, and I will die on that hill. And it's
the best fight ever.
Everybody needs a friend like Samwise, and seeing him grow as, you know, you get introduced to him as more immature, you know, happy-go-lucky, very fearful, but so loyal, almost dog-like to Frodo. And like, I am not going to leave your side. To get that payoff in the 3rd movie feels so stinking satisfying. But in order to get that payoff, you have to put in the work. And that's why in the first movie, you do have to sit through a little bit more exposition, a little bit more, like I said before, world building. You have to figure out, what is the Ring of Power? What does it do? What are the rules inside of this world? And as a kid who's starting to become in touch with his imagination, that was something that I could just lose myself in. Shout out to Eminem. And that's why for me, like, I mentioned earlier that I like things that I can imagine myself in. This is the opposite. I couldn't imagine myself in this world, but that's what made it so dang cool. Is it's like Star Wars, where it's so separate from the real world that I thought it was awesome. It was like hobbits, Sauron, the ring wraiths, which those dudes were scary as heck, especially as a kid. Their scream.
Orcs.
Yeah, orcs. I mean, again, the practical effects that went into those characters, imagine if they were CGI, if they tried to go full CGI, it would not have hit as well and been as effective. And I mean, the all-star cast, Ian McKellen, whatchamacallit, Elijah Wood, Viggo Mortensen. I mean, dude, what
What's
is
his name?
Andy
Who played
Serkis?
Andy Serkis? Thank you. I was like,
Yeah.
so fantastic.
Just an all-star cast, an all-star director who had a vision, an all-star VFX department, an all-star costume department. They were all operating on all cylinders, and it led to a product that, again, is not just a movie. It's a trilogy and a true cinematic experience.
Yeah, I think that you described it very well, because my experience with Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring versus Two Towers is very different. I love the extended cut of Fellowship of the Ring. I don't love the extended cut of Two Towers. And I think it's the experience aspect to it. Like when I was watching Two Towers, I didn't want to be interrupted while watching it because I felt like I was locked in. And it sounds like what you're describing, like in retrospect, you could talk about VFX artists and stuff like that. But when you're in there, you're not thinking about the technical aspects of a film, because everything is like editing. Everything is just on all cylinders. So you don't have to be a critic. You can just experience it.
Just be a fan.
Be a fan and just enjoy it and love it. If there's aspects you don't like, it's like, I don't like that happened, but it's not like, oh, it was bad writing. It's like, no, the writing is fine. I just don't like what happened. And I like...
Keep going. You're good. You're good.
I would say I like when you can watch a movie or experience a movie where it doesn't feel like, I don't like that because the writing wasn't good. No, I don't like that. The writing is good. I just don't like it because it just doesn't play to my taste. I prefer that in an experience.
And back to the theme of this video and this live stream is, as a kid, you definitely don't have the wherewithal to be analyzing that kind of stuff. Yeah. So we have the benefit of hindsight. But as a child, again, back to the theme of this live stream, it's all vibes. You're enjoying it. You're loving it. You don't think about the writing or the special effects. If you can lose yourself in it, then anything's possible.
Anything is possible. So, okay, you don't have to sell it to me because I love Fellowship of the Ring. For people who never watched it or said they don't want to watch it, how would you sell it to somebody, or how have you sold it to somebody? Whether it's a theatrical cut, say, hey, just watch the theatrical cut, it's not as long, or go watch the extended cut because you got to get everything. How would you sell it to them?
Don't read the books.
Why is that? Why don't you want them to read the books?
Some people get mad because they're like, oh, they left out certain things, or they didn't do this, they didn't do that. It's almost sometimes better to watch the movie first and then read the books. So I am going to cheat majorly because we're going to talk about this movie later down the road. But Revenge of the Sith is something we're going to talk about later. And I watched that movie first and then read the Revenge of the Sith novelization. And it builds upon what's in the movie. Now, if I read the book first and went to the movie, I'm like, wow, they left out so much stuff. There's so much good they could have put in there. Why didn't they do that? But you have the benefit of watching the movie first, then the book becomes just an extra DLC pack. And so I tell people, watch Lord of the Rings. You can do extended, you can do theatrical, whatever you want, but don't look at it as a slog. Renew your mind and look at it as like a warm blanket in the wintertime, and just treat it like something that you can just sit back, grab some dinner, get your favorite drink, and just enjoy. And if you're at that point completely relaxed and enjoying it, and you're not enjoying yourself, then the movie's not for you. Simple as that. I will never try to convince somebody to watch it if they have no interest, but all I would say is give it a shot. And if you still don't like it, totally understand.
I think it's definitely one of those movies that everybody, if you love film in any capacity, should at least try to watch once. I think Lord of the Rings, like Lord of the Rings, Matrix, Terminator, Star Wars, Star Trek. Yeah, those are some of the films that you should. And, obviously, like the horror classics like Michael, Jason, and Freddy. There's certain things you should at least try one time.
Give it a shot.
Yeah. Let's see what the chat is saying. As he said, 4.5 hour long live stream. He said Fellowship of the Ring was dope. I really, really enjoyed the world building, the characters, and the whimsical the nature of
Yeah.
that film. And how it kind of like slowly got deeper and darker and stuff like that as they went on the journey.
Aided by the music too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't talk about the music.
Yeah.
Is really,
Aided
really
by the
good.
music.
And it's complimentary. It's not in your face.
Thank you. It's like the like the flutes and the light orchestral like I guess it's like Scottish, but like that type of music that's very calming or relaxing, but then it starts to delve into heavy cello and violins and timpanis and these darker, more foreboding instruments as we get into the experience of Mordor and all that stuff.
And I think what you talked about just there, and I'm glad that you brought it up because you're smarter man than me if you read the almanac, the fact that you brought up all those wind instruments, I think when you said that, I was like, oh, they did that because it feels like it's in the background with the nature. They have a naturalist sound, so it's not in your face. It feels like it's just in the nature of the film, and I think that's genius. Two Towers was great in the second and third acts. I also agree that first act of that movie.
It's a little, yeah. You're not wrong.
Been really wanting to start the Lord of the Rings movies, but they're just too long. But I might watch every film back to. I would say don't give yourself a breather. Don't watch them back to back to back because they're so long.
You will not like yourself.
And it's not an entertaining joyride throughout. It's not.
It's a trek. It's a hike.
And it's meaningful. They want you to feel the journey that these people are going on to do this.
But you will get tired.
Feel that. Right? You're supposed to feel tired with them. So don't watch. I would say definitely watch the extended cut of Fellowship of the Ring. I think that's the way to go. I don't even want to even look at what the theatrical cut looks like. So I love the extended. I want to see what they cut out. And when it comes to Two Towers, I'm not sure. I've only watched the extended cut, but I feel like those parts of that movie that probably could have been cut down. Maybe go with the theatrical cut with that film because it is long, and if you're not into long movies, but definitely check them out. But give it time. I'm not saying wait a year like me, but maybe watch one week and then watch another week. But don't do like same day or back to back in the days.
At your leisure.
Yeah. He said put a whole day of plans and watch them. No, don't
do it, please.
Is this like GameSpot? No, this is definitely not GameSpot. I don't know who this is.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
Good luck.
Yeah. Gandalf, Aragorn, and Legolas are my favorite characters. That's fair. That is fair. I love Gandalf, even though it was random when he came back as Gandalf the White. Aragorn is a cool ass, and like you said, Samwise, he's such a bro. I look at my best friends, I'm like, you need to look.
Step up.
Step your game up, sir.
Is here.
The bar has risen after Lord of the Rings.
If a fictional character can be better than you, then what are we doing?
I would definitely do Lord of the Rings Return of the King watch along with you, Zach. I own the movie. Nice. After I'm done all the Lord of the Rings and Hobbits, I'm gonna do a ranking of them.
Ooh.
Yeah, I might do Return. I don't know. I might do a Return of the King watch along. That's such a long movie. It's gonna have to be a weekend. Cannot be.
So you have chosen death.
I definitely did. I'm never gonna read the books. Yeah, me neither. Don't read the books. Well, I mean, look, I can't read. Dyslexia be like. I've yet to see Star Trek. I don't know if
My wife.
It's hard with Star Trek because with Star Wars it's easier. It's like one set. It's just Star Wars. Like you have the prequel series, you have the original timeline, then you have the sequel series. But with Star Trek, there's like Deep Space Nine, there's regular, there's a lot to go. It's different timelines, so it's hard for me to recommend to go watch a movie.
Maybe if you want to just dip your toe into it, maybe do some of the J.J. Abrams movies.
Yeah,
maybe
those movies are fun.
Yeah, they're not bad. Not for me, but they're not bad.
Return of the King is long, but so worth it. Okay,
totally agree, Zach.
The actor who plays Sam got nominated for Best Actor for the third movie.
Well deserved.
He did?
Well, I think he did. No, he didn't win, but he got nominated.
That's dope. I only ever seen the extended cuts, and yes, back to back to back. Oh my god,
Zach, you and I, We are very like-minded, my friend. Very like-minded.
Orlando Bloom. Okay. I've been hearing they want to redo the movies all over again. I swear to God that I heard that too.
Yep.
There's an animated Lord of the Rings movie coming out, but I don't think it's a redo. I think
That's
it's
fine. That's okay.
fine. That's fine.
Don't try to do any redos.
Yeah, let's not. Maybe maybe in 20 years.
I'll take that.
Yeah, but not now. Something that gets redone all the time every 10 years is Batman. Let's talk about Batman The Dark Knight.
Man, you are on it with your transitions. I love it. All right, so Batman The Dark Knight. So this was a movie that won me over by product placement. Not so much product placement, more so marketing. Because in that age, I was a huge action figure and Lego guy. And it was the action figures that made me want to check out the movie. Because I've watched Batman since I was a kid, specifically the Batman animated series. I was like, that was my biggest exposure to Batman. And for me, I wasn't as interested in Batman Begins. I didn't even watch Batman Begins before I watched The Dark Knight. That was the first Nolan trilogy film that I watched, was The Dark Knight. And I barely got through it the first time I watched it, just because I was like, okay, interesting. Because it was a little bit out of my comfort zone. But then I was like, there's something here. And I think this is when I was closer to like 14, 15, I think. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut straight to the chase. I still don't really like Christian Bale as Batman. It didn't work for me. Never has. Probably never will. No disrespect. That is just doesn't work for me. Poor guy sounds like he's got throat cancer, and the suit holds up okay in the dark. I put a ranking on my channel about a year ago where I ranked up my favorite Batman suits, and in the dark where you can't see nothing and you can see a silhouette, cool. But when he walks around, he's like this, and he's like Michael Keaton all over again.
Yeah.
And just, he's not that intimidating. And it's, of course, he's memed a lot. He's like, where is she? Where are the other drugs?
To this day.
It's not intimidating. But one man saved the entire movie and made it so memorable. And you already know, Heath freaking Ledger.
Yep.
He occupied so much of my thoughts after I watched the film when I first saw it at like 15, 16. All I could think about is how chilling he was. Because Nolan decided to keep him grounded with input from Heath Ledger, and the fact that Heath Ledger improvised so much of his dialogue and was so committed to bringing this character to life in the most accurate way he could, he low-key was like so convincing to the point where I was like, I could see someone like him on the street. And that was terrifying. Yeah, and that was, I have not had that luxury, but for me, the concept of it was just as intimidating. And I was like, that's scary. And in that instance, I hadn't quite gotten deep into horror yet, but that was scary enough to me to where I was like, I'm interested. Not repelling, but it was almost, it felt compulsive. I was like, I want to watch this again to see the mind games he plays with the people around him, and the way he manipulates Batman and Batman's allies, and the way he pulls everything from the shadows. And the way that man doesn't care about money. He just wants to send a message. And for me, that was just, oh my gosh, incredible. And I think the supporting cast is what makes this movie great, not because of Christian Bale. Christian Bale is an accessory in his own movie. And he took left stage, and the Joker took center stage, and the movie is better for it. Christian Bale doesn't make this a bad movie. It's on my list for a reason.
Yeah.
But it's because I got hooked on it because of the toys, but stayed for Heath Ledger.
It's interesting. It's so funny because with The Dark Knight, I missed Batman Begins when it first came out. And then I saw the trailer for Dark Knight, and the hype levels for that movie was through the roof, as you can imagine. And I was like, I'm going to go watch Batman Begins. So me and a friend went to go watch it in my house, bought the DVD, we watched it, and we were like, wait, they're saying that The Dark Knight is better than this. This is so good. Like I really enjoyed the Batman Begins, and I think that's Christian Bale's best performance as a character.
I agree.
He's the main focus of the character, and he gets to do more, and it's not as restrictive. His voice is not so gurgly yet. And then
The suit
Dark
was
Knight
also
comes
the
out.
best. The
Yes.
suit in the first movie was the best it's been in all 3 movies.
Yep, I absolutely agree. When it comes to helping Christian Bale look like a star, that was the best one so far, and then it got progressively worse, and it was the villains that looked better. Because even in Dark Knight Rises, however you feel about that film, Tom Hardy takes that film over completely. People still quote him to this day, you know, with the darkness talk. And it's so because it's funny that you were talking about the dark. But watching the Dark Knight, I was like, wow, this is what I wanted. Because before that, you know, we had the X-Men films. But really, other than the X-Men films, we didn't really have anybody taking superhero films seriously. Or comic book films, I should say. And I've been a big comic book fan my whole life. Like I was reading comic books as a kid. Obviously, I fell in love with the animated series, like you did with Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, Justice League Unlimited. I could go on and on with the list of the 90s cartoons that we grew up on. But we were getting like Green Lantern and Blade was good, but it wasn't taken seriously. It was still jokey. And there was Steel and Catwoman and Ghost Rider and
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin and Batman Returns. What was the other one with Val Kilmer?
It was it wasn't Batman Returns. It was
because it's one with
Batman
Mr.
Forever.
Freeze, Batman Forever, and where
Batman
it's like
Forever.
they're like trying to make modern Adam West films. It's like that's
Yeah.
not what we want after we just got Michael Keaton, who might be one of the best Batmans of all time. So to see that and be like, it's funny because you know I did the Attack Exact episode where you asked me that question, and I said Dark Knight is overrated, and I still say that, but I still think it's a very important movie because they started taking comic book films seriously, and I think that was where the MCU was just like, or Disney was like, oh, like if we take this shit seriously, we can have $1 billion films.
And what happened?
A bunch of $1 billion films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, Dark Knight is such an important film for cinema, and I think it's an important film for all of our lives. You know, so I love that, and Heath Ledger also paved the way for Joaquin Phoenix.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, because you talked about how like you felt like Heath Ledger felt like he could be on the street. I think Joaquin Phoenix even took that even more. He even felt more like a regular person. And you can feel him on the street because he literally was getting attacked in a train station. I'm like, that literally, I could see that happen. I've seen it happen living in New York on the train. So yeah, these films are fantastic. Like Kenny Sparks says, The Dark Knight is a fantastic film. One of the greatest of all time in terms of comic book films or maybe films in general. And it's just important to cinema. Let me see. Toby said, I'm going to say something. I've only watched The Dark Knight, not the other 2 films. And yes, I know it isn't like the middle film, but well, a lot of people only seen The Dark Knight.
That's how I started.
And you could kind of enjoy it without watching the Batman Begins or watching Dark Knight Rises. It's kind of doesn't have that's one thing that trilogy lacks. There's no like through line for Batman because he's such to the side. It's not like a regular trilogy where a character starts somewhere and then by the last movie you've seen a full character arc for the character. That's not there. They're just individual stories for Batman.
Robert Pattinson had a better Batman arc from start to finish in just 1 movie than Christian Bale did in 3.
1000% agree. And like when I think about like people I love the Batman. That's probably my favorite Batman movie right now. When I think about them, out of the 4 modern ones we've got, well, I guess technically I was going to say Michael Keaton, but so I guess Val Kilmer and George Clooney. George Clooney, Val Kilmer are like at the bottom. We know that, whatever. But if you think about like Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, and Robert Pattinson, I would have to have Christian Bale lower than Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton and Robert Pattinson, unfortunately. Just their performances. They just don't have as impactful movies as he has. To be fair, in the darkest where that suit belongs.
Zach, look, you know what I mean. If you've seen The Dark Knight Rises, which I know you have, and once you see that thing in the full sunlight, it'll scar you for life. So yeah. Okay. So what Dark Knight was in the dark? Still sucks because he basically wears the same suit in the second or the third movie, and only difference is he gets sunlight on it, and then you realize, oh shoot, this is kind of trash.
Yeah.
So Zach, yes, technically you're right. I'll give you that. But after seeing The Dark Knight Rises, you can't go back. It's like every time you rewatch, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, I was just like, it was a choice to film so many scenes in a broad daylight.
It was a decision made by somebody.
Yeah. Have you watched Game of Thrones?
No. I watched a little bit of it, and that's one of those like so for some people, the way they see Lord of the Rings is this way I see Game of Thrones, where I got started with it, but never got far with it just because it's
Mm.
so expansive. I've seen clips, I've seen scenes, I've seen the Red Wedding, all that kind of stuff. I've seen the important stuff to know the gist, but never quite explored it as deep or even watched full seasons.
Gotcha. Yeah, same here. I've started the first episode probably 5 times and I kept falling asleep. And I was like, I don't usually fall asleep during stuff. I usually can sit through it and at least finish the first episode. I was like, this is just not for me. Same thing that happened with The Matrix. Like, I turn The Matrix on, I watch about 30 minutes of it, I fall asleep. I'm like, okay, this is just not for me right now. So maybe I wasn't old enough. He says, but I mean, Nolan is my man. To be honest, the best director to ever live for me. He got 2 movies that are in my top 4 movies of all time. That's very, very fair. He has a long track record of phenomenal films. So, just talking about Batman, I still think Batman 2022 is the best Batman movie and the best Batman to ever get made. That's a hot take.
I
I
respect it.
think that the Batman is the best adaptation of the character. That's closely to the comics because I love him as a comic book character, more of a detective, and still has kind of a sense of humor and stuff like that. But I understand why a lot of people prefer like a Michael Keaton or a Christian Bale.
Right.
I read the books when I read the books when the movies were coming out. I was trying to finish the 3rd book. By the time the 3rd movie came out, I was only a few chapters away from finishing. I think he's probably talking about Lord of the Rings.
Probably. Most likely.
Aaron Eckhart. Oh, as Two-Face. Oh my God. How can we forget about him? Another character that outshined Batman.
But what ruined it for me was when I realized like how he's got the bandage on his face and he looks over and Joker's wearing a mask and he doesn't recognize him until he takes off the mask.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
That's so
dang.
silly.
Dang, you had to I had to notice that. Come on, man. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
really
obvious.
weird. Yeah. I really didn't like Batman Begins when I first saw it. The burlap sack for Scarecrow is just dumb.
It was a choice.
I do really enjoy Rises. I think Christian Bale was the best Batman. I really did not like Mountain Keaton. Oh wow, that's a hot take. He was okay, but I do like Robert Pattinson. Okay.
Respect.
Hey, Mike, what's up? Did you see that? How are you doing, man? Thank you. Welcome to the live stream. Oh, I forgot I had a poll.
Just put up a new poll. Be like, should we keep doing polls?
Let's see. Yeah,
Yes,
let's do that. Let's do a Batman poll. So I was saying, how is everyone? 10 votes in. 60% said yes. 30% said needs therapy.
All right, y'all,
Damn.
come on in. This is a safe space.
It's a safe space.
This is a safe space, y'all.
So who is the best Batman? Keaton. This is only live action because if it's animated, it's Kevin Conroy. Come on,
Easy landslide.
not even close. Who am I missing? Bale. Ben
Affleck. Yep.
So much potential lost in that one.
The best Batman that never was.
Yep. That needs to be a documentary on that situation. The Batman. Oh.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, man.
It's in the drafts. It's in the draft.
Game of Thrones season 1 is rough to get through. That's what I hear. Once you get through the first 2 seasons, anytime someone tells me I have to get through the first 2 seasons of anything, immediately just turn me off.
Don't care.
Like One Piece, they're like, oh, once you get through the first 100 episodes.
Once you get to episode 1163, you start to get character development. It's like, huh?
Just start. Heath Ledger was phenomenal in the movie. He actually won Best Actor for the movie, even though he wasn't alive. Yep.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. It's not a movie that made me, but it's a recent years I've become a lover of country music. Tonight I watched a movie called Wild Rose with Jessie Buckley, and wow, it was great. I heard about that film, and Jessie Buckley's a great actress. So thank you for letting me know it was great. I'm gonna check it out. Hey, dark movies. It's 3 a.m. So yeah, go to bed, man.
Go to bed.
Thank you for
Love
being
you,
in the
dude.
stream.
Mad
Love
respect.
you, man. Best guy. The best guy.
The best.
So yeah, so a movie that will never go to bed, will always be referenced, that will always be part of pop culture, is Star Wars Empire Strike Back.
Yeah. I don't know if we should spend forever on this or just simplify it by just saying this is the best trilogy of all, or like this is the best sequel, in my opinion, of all time.
Okay.
I think it has a darker and more complex tone compared to the original Star Wars. I know a lot of people have very more negative inclinations towards the first Star Wars. I'm not looking at anybody specific, Ken. But at the end of the day, like, The Empire Strikes Back is so freaking good. And I got on that when I was a kid and fully embracing the world of Star Wars. I was reading the books, watching the movies, playing the games, playing with the action figures. And Star Wars is probably the biggest movie that impacted my childhood, or movies that impacted my childhood. And Empire Strikes Back for me left the biggest impact because it's the one where the good guys don't win. And I wasn't familiar with that. I was like, dang, Luke, Leia, Han, they're taking L's this whole movie. Just L after L after L, where you start out with whatchamacallit, with Leia and Han on the run. The Hoth base gets overrun, and Darth Vader and the stormtroopers are just slowly crushing the rebellion. And Luke has a mildly successful training, but gets his butt handed to him by Darth Vader. And by the end of the movie, you're left asking yourself, like, where do we go from here? And again, you have to look at this as a kid who hasn't seen what could happen next. And when I'm watching this for the first time, I'm like, holy crap, where are we going to go from here? Luke is Darth Vader's son? What? And I can't even imagine what it's like experiencing that in the cinema back in the 80s, not having access to leaks and technology and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. And just how insane that must have been, let alone for a 13-year-old kid, watching it for the first time in California. So like for me, it was revolutionary. And there's masterful direction. The CGI and special effects of just like everything else, they still hold up. And I just think it's masterful. And there's not much else that could be said about it other than just it's not a perfect movie. Let me rephrase that, because there are other movies that are technically more sound. It is a perfect Star Wars movie for Star Wars and in the world of Star Wars, made for Star Wars fans by a visionary director who also loves Star Wars, also under the creative control of George Lucas, who created it. Just amazing.
Yeah, that's a great conversation to have about like the perfect movie for what it needs to be, not the perfect technical film. Because I've watched films that like are technical, like the sound design and this and that, and I was like, I was bored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so movies don't have to be like technically sound to be great. You can just execute all the points it needs to execute, and Empire Strikes Back is one of those films. And I think, like you said, imagine at that time that feeling of like, what is happening? And like looking at your list of all these films that we've been through, there is no film like that on here where the heroes lose. We haven't talked about one film where the heroes lose. The heroes have won almost in every single film that we've talked about here. So to at your point in your life now where you're like a preteen or teenager, where you've watched, I guess, the first two films. You watched the first two films first,
more or
right?
less. Yeah.
And got to this. Yeah. So you watch these, you see the heroes win, you see them nearly get out of here and all that stuff. And then boom, you watch this one, you're like, whoa.
Like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
Possible? This can happen.
How long do I have to wait to see what happens next? Is that builds that anticipation? I think the only thing that compares in modern time, and you're going to talk about this soon, is Infinity War.
Oh, that's coming.
That's coming.
Oh, that's coming.
He's a technically sound, not great Oppenheimer. Ooh,
you said that right as Toby went to bed, or else he was gonna rip you, Ken.
Word. I did not agree with that at all. But I understand. We've had long conversations about that. But a movie that I might not agree with you on, but that's on your list, that's next, is Indiana Jones and the Raiders of Lost Ark. Let me
Yeah.
know why you love this film so much.
All right. So this one is a little bit odd. I came to love this because I played the Lego Indiana Jones game as a kid
Mm,
and loved it. And I was a big Lego game fan. Lego Star Wars was my jam. And I played Lego Indiana Jones and I was like, oh, this is so much fun. And I was like, wait, this is based off of a movie, right?
mm,
I got to check that out. And again, just like how I mentioned earlier about almost watching the movie before you read the books helps. In this case, playing the game before I watched the movie helped even more.
mm.
And I didn't watch this when I was a little kid, but I was still young enough to where it's not technically sound. And Harrison Ford, for a lot of people, not a lot of people like Harrison Ford's acting because it's a little bit more of like the one note, action hero who doesn't have much dynamics or range. And for me, there was just something special about it because it had so much charisma, so much charm, so much
Mm.
heart. Like it's something that could have been made in your backyard. Like it felt like a passion project where Steven Spielberg and George Lucas teamed up like Shaq and Kobe in the 90s and just delivered something that they were passionate about because they
Yeah.
both genuinely loved putting together the character of Indiana Jones. And I think for me, I fell in love with how heartwarming and earnest it felt. It was like a
Mhm.
classic, retro movie where it's very simple. The plot is straightforward. He's not beating up Nazis a bunch in this, but like it's still the good guy is pushed to his limit, has to recover a treasure and, get the girl. You know what I'm saying? So like it's super,
Yeah.
super basic, but it was so heartwarming for me that made it stick out as a preteen myself.
And did you watch this with somebody? Did you watch it on your own after playing the games?
My own. That was a solo project.
That was a solo project. And did this movie lead you to any other franchises, or like did you like, oh, let me go see what else Indiana Jones is in? You go to watch anything else Harrison Ford is in?
I came to this because I knew Han Solo from Star Wars. So that
Mm,
was it was reversed. So I came to that because like, oh yeah, Harrison Ford, that's Han Solo. I bet you he's good in this. And
yeah,
so that was where I found him.
that's really interesting. He's played so many iconic characters. It's insane
Oh
to think
yeah.
about that.
I see like my
Even
dad
like
knows him
Blade
from
Runner.
like Hunt for Red October, or was that the movie he was
Oh
in?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. But like for me, that was way over my head back then. But like you said, just so many iconic characters.
yeah. I think it's underrated at the point of what he's able to do. Like you said that people were talking about, but like Han Solo and Indiana Jones are similar but different
Mhm.
in a lot of ways. Is for the fact that he's able to keep that through line that makes you like Harrison Ford as a person in those movies, but make them different, so it doesn't feel like he's just playing the same person, just one in space and one on Earth. I think it's special.
For sure.
Yeah, I watched all the Indiana Jones movies last year in anticipation to the last one that just came out. Just reviewed and watched all of them. And Raiders of the Lost Ark was really, really fun. I had a really good time with it. I didn't end up loving it like everybody kept talking about it was, and I got a lot. I remember getting a lot of flack about it, but it's one of those movies where I'm like, I appreciate it on more of a historical thing because there was a lot of films that wasn't like that
Right.
back then. It like pushed the adventure genre forward in a way that no movie has done since because we really don't get adventure movies like that.
They don't make them like they used
So
to.
no, they do not. That's a perfect example of that. Oh man, let's see. Hey Josh, what's up? Thank you for joining the live stream.
What's up, Josh?
Oh, Kal-El Daly's here. Blah. Nah, I'm joking. What's up, Kal-El? And no, I'm not your little bro. I'm older than you. Stop it. I'm not sure I've seen the first three Indiana Jones movies in totality. I think I've just seen scenes. Okay. I feel like a lot of people know the scenes of the movie, even if you haven't
Oh
watched the
yeah.
movie.
Or at least I've heard the music. Come on
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah. Iconic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Come on now.
That person who does the score is just
John
Williams.
John freaking Williams.
Amazing. Oh, Hunt for Red October is great. And he said, "Yo, Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie ever." It's
Kenny
not really
said,
arguable.
what was this?
I
Kenny
love
said,
me some Rogue One, but
yeah.
it's hard.
I was
I
gonna say,
think
Kenny's
that people love those movies because the heroes lose. But tying into a movie where the heroes usually win, it's Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's
Dead
Chest.
Man's Chest.
Talk about
15
it.
men on a dead man's chest, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum.
Nice.
So, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest was my first foray into the technical aspects of a film, where I actually started analyzing things.
Okay.
I
How
was
about
like
how old would you say?
about 14,
Okay.
15 off the top of the dome. Probably closer to 15, maybe even 16. I don't remember half the things I did when I was, around that age. But one thing I do remember, and I'm gonna just start with this out. I'm not gonna explain the plot or anything. Davy Jones. I
Mm,
was fascinated with how they made Davy Jones. I was like,
yeah.
how in the world are they able to make something so lifelike and yet so extraordinary in
Yeah.
that time period? He is probably one of the biggest and best examples of CGI used to its finest in any film. Any film. The attention to detail of his tentacles, the way they move and the water interacting with his face. That's stuff that I have not seen in hardly any movies at all. I think he
Yeah.
is a technical marvel, and I couldn't help but wonder as a kid where I was like, this is phenomenal. How is this possible? And
Yeah.
you factor in all the other stuff, like, okay, Johnny Depp is the GOAT and amazing as Jack Sparrow. The way he plays him is just so dang charismatic and charming, and they make him just sympathetic enough to where you care for him, but he's also
Mhm.
scummy. He's so scummy. Like, he'll sell you out for a bottle of blue Gatorade. Like, he does not care. And like the characters are charming, but yet annoying all at the same time. I feel like they're
Mhm.
all so spunky and lively and colorful that you almost can't help but like them. Because low key, my my mom mentioned this to me. She's like, most of those people are bad people. I was like, I know,
Mhm.
but they're freaking cool. So
Yeah.
like, what are you gonna do? So I started with just appreciating Davy Jones, and then from then on out, you've got the fact that it's just a well put together movie. It's long. There's some pacing inconsistencies, but at the end of the day, it is a stinking, just incredibly entertaining movie with a very diverse yet enthusiastic cast, and you really feel it.
So far with all the movies, I've seen a common theme with amongst a lot of them, whether it's your the fascination with it being otherworldly, again, this is a completely different place, or it feeling like something that could have happened, but it's like you're wondering if it's happening somewhere else because it's not happening where you live.
Right.
Or there's like a family theme. A lot of those aspects I feel like are not in Dead Man's Chest. So what about this film is so special that you had to put it on the list?
The characters.
The characters. Okay.
Easy peasy. The characters. When the characters are so charming and so compelling, I was never really a pirate guy. Didn't really care about pirates. Didn't really care about
Okay.
swashbuckling ships. I never cosplayed as a pirate or pretended like I was outside playing with my friends that I was a pilot or a pirate. I always had a lightsaber. I didn't care about none of that. I was a Jedi. I was no pirate. And that's how incredible this movie was that it took a guy who had no interest in that genre of swashbuckling seas and tempests and treasure, but they made the characters so interesting that the world around them became interesting because of those characters.
Mm,
So that's why.
perfect. And that's the perfect segue as we go from 13 to 16. Maybe we're starting like 17, going to 18, up until how old you are now in your mid 20s. Perfect segue into the first film that we're going to talk about as you got older, and you start feeling the pain in your knees and your hip and your elbows starting to snap. Uh,
My back. My back.
just like that. And what I noticed is there is and I think this happens with everyone, and I notice this with every single person I've done this interview with. When we get to the older stage, there's a more of a diversity in the films. When younger, there's always animated films in there, and as you get older, you see less animated films, but you see like big franchises or maybe a certain genre. But here you have a bunch of different kind of films. And I would say you talk about characters, Anchorman
Oh, yeah.
is a film that doesn't work without how good the characters are. Talk about
You
it.
just said it. You literally just said it right there. Without the cast they put together, this film would have failed 110%. The amount of riffing and kind of playing off of each other and improvising that the comedic cast that they put together did should be studied in film school, 30 years from now. Will Ferrell, Paul Rudd. Who else was? Let me see. Who else was in there? David Kochner, or was it Kochner? Kochner? I don't know. He plays Champ. Whammy, that dude. He's also in The Office. Steve Carell. My gosh, Steve Carell. These comedic actors themselves are so talented at what they do, but you put them all together and it's just pure chaos, pure unadulterated chaos. Yeah, there he is.
Stiller, you said, well, yeah. Christina Applegate.
Yeah, she was Veronica.
Yep.
That's a movie that definitely is dated, 100%. But as I got older, I definitely started to get more into the adult comedies, but I kind of hovered around the early 2000s comedies because for me, that was something that genuinely made me laugh. My brain is so like mush these days. It takes a lot to make me laugh. Like I feel like maybe I'm just a bitter old man, but it takes a lot to make me chuckle. And Anchorman just swings for the fences. And my wife and I watch this at least twice a year. Like that's our ritual. Was we both love it. There's so much just fun that we get out of it just because it doesn't take itself seriously. It's so corny. There's so many shots that are purposely shots in a very stupid and clumsy way to just get a laugh out of you. It doesn't care. It's throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you. And it's loosely based around, Will Ferrell is, Ron Burgundy trying to reclaim his title after his female partner runs away with all of the fame and glory. But at the end of the day, don't try to take any deep messages out of it. There is no deep, there's no like, character study of Ron Burgundy because he's an asshole. That's the only way to put it is it's just one of those things where it's just fun. It's fun. And when I think about what impacted me the most, I think about what I remember and what I keep coming back to. And all I can think about is how much I love watching Anchorman cutting loose and just having a good time.
And it helps you cut loose and have a good time.
Oh yeah.
Also,
and I still laugh at it. I've seen the jokes a million times. I'm still going to laugh.
And I think when it comes to comedies, depending on the tone, because there's different kind of comedies. Not all comedies are the same. When you fully commit to the gag and you don't treat it like it's a comedy, you take it so seriously, like you're playing a drama, but it's funny. That's the best kind of comedies. And I think even if you don't like Anchorman for whatever reason, I think that you can appreciate the fact that they lean into it completely. And they never break. They're never like, oh, let's break up a little bit for other people. No, they're like, you're gonna love this or not. And that's amazing.
When Steve Carell's like, he's like, Veronica, I'm inviting you to the pants and the party of the pants in the party. And Veronica's like, Brick, are you trying to invite me? There's a party in your pants and you're invited. He's like, that would be correct. She's like, no. He goes, very well. Kevin, would you like to come to a party in my pants? It's just because he has no idea what the heck is going on. He's got that, the touch of the, in the head. And he's like, what did he say? He's like, centuries from now, they will find that I have an IQ of 42, which makes me mentally, and then he says like, retarded or something like that. Like it's just so stinking funny.
So hilarious. I'm in a glass
case of emotion.
Do I have that? Oh, I don't have the clip.
There's so many memes from that movie. Oh my gosh, God. So many memes.
I have a couple of them that I use. oh yeah, the poll. I forgot about it. Keep forgetting about these polls. It's my first movies that made us that I've done a poll with. So come with 9 votes. Who is the best Batman? Wow. They do not agree with you, Jonah. 55% says Bale. Wow. A little bit more than half.
Opinions are subjective.
Yeah, man. It's are very subjective, man. Can I tie that into anything? What's the next movie? Um. Oh, hold. Borat is a very subjective film. Oh my god! Before you go into that, let me tell you my experience with Borat. I watched this movie way younger than you did. I was on a trip in high school at my sophomore year, probably. So I was very, very young, and we were on a trip back from wherever we were going, and we were watching 300, a movie I also probably shouldn't have been watching that young.
Yeah.
And we finished it, and I fell asleep, and I woke up, and they were watching Borat, and the first scene I see is him on a table, butt ass naked.
Yep.
I was like, "What is happening?"
Just emotionally and mentally scarred all at once. All at once.
So talk about Borat and this crazy man.
I won't spend much time on this, but Sacha Baron Cohen is a genius. His comedic style is something that is just, he is on the line between like funny and okay, now you've taken it too far. That man has straddled the line for his entire career. And we're not talking about my favorite movies of all time. We're talking about the movies that made us. And I come back to what made me just lose my mind. And I keep coming back to Borat. I remember the first time I watched this with my best friend, and he was like, "Have you seen Borat?" I was like, "Nah, man." It was like 19, I think it was. And he's like, "I'm about to blow your mind, man." He's like, "Just be ready." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Trust me, be ready." And I'm sitting there watching it like, what are my eyes seeing right now? What's going on?
Ready.
And I've also I've never cringed so hard, but I've also never laughed so hard. And I mean, there were so many just off the cuff gags and interactions where he's out mingling with the American people and just improvising. And it's because he's unequivocally himself, or in this case, his character from Kazakhstan, who does not have it's a classic fish out of water scenario, but dialed up to 11. And that man is just, I don't know how he does it. I genuinely don't know how he does it, because that man took so many risks with making this. And when the whole plot of this is him trying to track down Pamela Anderson, that's the driving force of the majority of this movie, to make her his wife.
Yeah.
I mean, and
I think that's perfect plot for that time period too, because everybody wanted to marry Pamela Anderson at that time.
Baywatch. Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to the iconicness of it too, where his mannerisms, the way he talks, he's like, "My wife, my wife, my name is Borat," my wife and I all the time, I'll walk up to her like, "Oh, my wife is my wife." And then she'll end up throwing something at me. But she also I did convince her to watch Borat. She laughed, but she was also like, "This is not something we're going to be watching all the time." I was like, "You got it, but I just need you to watch it once so that you can get when I start talking to you in a Borat voice." And
where it comes from.
Yeah, exactly. But man, like I said, just straight pure comedic chaos. It's not for everybody, and it's not even a movie I would necessarily recommend, but it stuck with me, and it's gonna stick with me probably for the rest of my life.
And the brilliance of it is the fact that he did so many things that he probably wasn't supposed to be doing. Be with people who didn't know it was a film.
Oh yeah, that would not fly these days.
No,
the legal
especially
action
in the theater.
Oh, he thrown out, lawsuit, everything.
Yeah, never. But yeah, we'll probably never get a movie like that ever again, and that just makes it very, very special. So I can see why you have that. I've never seen Borat. One day I will.
Just try it. If it ain't for you, don't feel bad.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a movie that it ages a bit because of the Pamela Anderson thing. If you're a certain age, you may not know who Pamela Anderson is at all.
Some of the comedy too.
Yeah,
definitely will not age well.
Won't age well, but you'll get the gist of why people love it because of how crazy it is.
Yep.
This is an interesting one because I've heard so many back and forth things about this film, about this trilogy, about this and everything, the prequel trilogy. and we're talking about Revenge of the Sith. Talk about why that's so important to you and why specifically that one.
Oh, I have built my channel on my opinions of Star Wars. And
Mm,
for me, I am going to fully just showcase my age right here, right now, and just say that I mean, I love the prequels. Because I grew up on the prequels.
mhm.
And there is no right or wrong answer for what you like. But for me, it is what were you exposed to the most? And for me, I was consuming all forms of Star Wars content, reading books, like I said before, playing games, watching movies, all that stuff. I was so immersed in the lore that I obsessed over everything George Lucas put out because I bought fully into his vision. And Revenge of the Sith is not a perfect movie. We're going to say the same thing we said for Empire Strikes Back. But man, oh man, is it my favorite Star Wars movie out of every single original trilogy and prequel trilogy movie. It's
Mm.
even better than Empire Strikes Back, in my opinion. And that gets so many people mad. But it's because for me, it gave me everything I wanted. It's not perfect in the sense of there's inconsistencies. They don't develop a lot of the characters. And to people who see that movie and critique it as a movie, I get that. I am pulling the card of I've read the books. I've pored over the novels. I have studied the lore. And Revenge of the Sith, wow, Revenge of the Sith doesn't bother me like that because I can fill in the gaps in my head. And
Mm.
as a 17-year-old who is deep, deep, deep into the world of Star Wars, I didn't give a crap about what other people were thinking because for me, I was having the time of my life. I was following every single thing. I knew how General Grievous came to be. I knew exactly what the Sith were planning. I knew Order 66 was coming. All this kind of stuff, and it didn't shake me from my enjoyment. And the story is just a little bit more complex and compelling than the rest of the prequels. I think because it embraces the dark nature of the story, I think it bodes well. And Hayden Christensen does not deserve the hate he gets from Star Wars fans. He was
No, he does
doing what George Lucas told him to do. If you
exactly.
watch the behind the scenes stuff of Lucas coaching him up, he is literally instructing him what to do. And Hayden does exactly what he's supposed to do. He is a tortured soul who is imperfect, immature, had to grow up way too quickly, and is faced with all of these immense powers and has to struggle with the call of the light and the dark. And for me, I find that incredibly fascinating. I love the world of Star Wars. I love Revenge of the Sith. And I watched that probably more than any of these other movies when I was from the ages of 17 to 19, maybe 20. And
Mhm.
it's even better. I've mentioned my wife more so in these last couple movies because that's around the time she came into my life. But
Mm.
now, I mean, my wife is a huge Star Wars fan too, and she loves Revenge of the Sith. And so we're both just tag teaming, talking about the lore, talking about what's going on behind the scenes, and it makes it so much better than just a movie.
That's amazing, man.
There's a lot to unpack with
Because
that.
yeah, it's just a lot of fronts. You being a book fan, you just being a fan of Star Wars in general. You know, like you love the franchise. It's probably your favorite franchise, I would say.
Yes,
You built your whole
absolutely.
channel around it, and then for it to be a movie that you loved, and your wife, your now wife, your life partner, who came around to it, and also a big thing for men. If you like or at least acknowledge that the things that we like are good, that's huge.
Book it.
It's
Book it.
huge.
Yep.
So I can see why like this is the one she loves it, and I can talk to her about it all the time. All those layers to that is just amazing. And when you can have a movie that's not technically sound or whatever, and it's like, but I still love it because of what it does. That's the best. Like when Letterbox does these people's top fours and they're naming all these classic films that like, oh, it's the most beautiful thing ever, but it's like, does it sound fun? It's like I don't want to hear that. I want to hear why you like Hercules.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, look, so I'm an emotional person. I would like
Mm,
to think that I'm very in touch with my emotions. That's something that's always been a strength of mine. And for me, I go off of how I feel.
mm,
I don't analyze things based on technical stuff. If that becomes distracting and it ruins how I perceive a film or a TV show, I will absolutely call it out. And if I walk out of something not feeling good, I'm going to go extreme opposite. Thor Love and Thunder. I walked out of that movie feeling nasty. I was like, I
Mm.
did not like this movie. Why? Because it felt wrong. I was like, I genuinely have negative feelings towards it because it took the character that I love and took a complete 180 into a direction that I don't think it should have gone. So you take that over into the world of Star Wars, where I feel so emotionally connected into the world of Star Wars that it's all about how I feel. And that will determine how I see films. And that's why I've built my channel on I'm not a cinephile. I'm not a movie critic that I'm going to analyze every little thing. If it's something I notice, I'm going to bring it up. But all in all, I'm going to talk about how I feel and what I noticed. And that's really what drives me.
And that's the most important part about cinema. That makes you a perfect critic because it's how did it make you feel? It doesn't matter, the technical aspect of it. I've watched movies that look shitty, but I enjoyed my time with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like if I enjoyed my time, I got something out of it, whether it was a laugh, a tear, a deeper meaning in something, or helped me figure out something in my life, or it sparked my imagination in a way that it hasn't before. I don't care about all the other, oh, but this twist didn't fully make. I don't care. And at the end of the day, when the movie was finished, I was smiling.
How does it
And
make
that
me feel? Mhm.
exactly perfect. And Kenny said, Palpy versus Yoda, Anakin versus Obi might be my favorite scenes in Star Wars.
With Battle of the Heroes blaring in the background, come on, man. It does not get better than that. Cinema.
Cinema. Speaking of cinema, we're moving on to another franchise. Well, the theme of this is franchise saved me. We're talking about Into the Spiderverse, one of my favorite movies of all time. Gush about it, please.
I got you. You do not have to tell me twice. Into the Spider-Verse was a movie that I was not expecting to like. I didn't think it
Mm,
was gonna be good. I was just getting deep into the lore of the MCU because I was late to the MCU. I was late to the
okay.
party. It took me a little bit to get rolling, but when I got in, I was in there like swimwear. I was obsessing over everything. I read comic books on my break periods at work at Barnes& Noble across the street. I would
Mm,
watch as many Marvel movies as I could because I had to get caught up, and I was loving every single second of it. But Spider-Verse by Sony? This ain't gonna be
mm.
good. Yeah, it looks cool. Trailer's kinda cool. Animation style is kinda something I haven't seen. You know what? I'll give it a shot. Why not? And Zach, I walked out of that movie. I was like, I need to go back in there and watch this again. That might have been one of the best movies I've seen in my life. We're getting into the movies that genuinely made me feel.
Mm.
These last like the final 4 movies we're talking about, I felt something, a rush of emotion, of excitement, of happiness where I was like, this is pure cinematic gold. Like like they took a character like Miles Morales, love him or hate him, whatever. Miles Morales had a rough comic book run where,
Mhm.
things were they were struggling to sell copies. They had difficulty separating him from Peter Parker and giving Miles his own story for the longest time. And it took a long time to get traction for him. But that's what this movie did. This movie gave Miles his own voice. It gave him his own story with characters that are interesting. Keyword,
Mhm.
interesting. And it made it the common audience, in this case, I'll look myself up or I'll count myself in for that, where I was more of the casual audience in that standpoint. I knew of Miles from certain other projects, but I wasn't invested. This movie got me invested in Miles. I was like, holy crap, what a sympathetic character. Zach, we gonna make the connection. Family.
Mhm.
I loved that family dynamic. The relationship he has with his mom and dad, where his dad wanted to connect, but didn't quite know how, and was very clumsy in his own way. But here's the kicker: he meant well. His heart was in the right place, but he was still struggling because he's a flawed human being trying to connect with his son. Yo, that stuff is amazing detail, and the writers deserve all the credit in the world for what they put together. Um, the relationship he has with his mom as more of like the loving guiding force in his life who, is quick to correct him, but also quick to love him. And I just found myself loving this character and having Peter B. Parker as that mentor, comedic figure to bounce off of Miles. It gave more depth to his character while also not tarnishing the record of or the rep of Peter Parker.
Yeah, the legacy.
Because sometimes you can drag down a character in order to build up another character. I hate that. I absolutely despise that. That is not the case here, because they elevated both characters, and Peter Parker doesn't need elevation. He's already up here, but they never took away from him and instead brought Miles up to his level. And no other words can describe it other than just masterful creation. The animation style, that's it. That's it. We're done here. The animation style. Just, and I know we're not reading comments right now, but Ken's thing where we talked about Miles up in his dorm with his dad talking at the door, just beautiful. I love when scenes linger and allow you to feel emotions without rushing to the next scene. And the action is well shot. The humor is on freaking point. The characters are dynamic and beloved, and it doesn't get much better than Into the Spider-Verse.
I can't agree with you more, man. It's probably, not probably, it's definitely my top 5 favorite comic book movies of all time. One of my favorite animated movies of all time.
Same.
I think that they characterize the characters that don't get a lot of screen time so well that you feel like you know them.
Yeah.
Even like just Gwen or even Spider-Man Noir, who doesn't even talk that much. You just have a great feeling of what that, and then all the voice actors come. Like Nick Cage didn't have to go that hard, but he went that hard for us. He could have been like, "Oh, this is just a stupid animated film." But then again, it's Nick Cage. Even if it's a bad film, he goes hard.
John Mulaney.
Yeah, John. Oh, I didn't even know who he was until this movie, and then I looked him up. I was like, "Oh, he's a comedian." And that's how I fell in love with John Mulaney.
He's like, "I just washed my hands. That's why they're wet."
Yeah.
No other reason.
No other reason. Amazing. It's just, for me, obviously, like all the things you said was special. I think this movie specifically saved the Spider-Man comic books.
Yes.
Because they were spinning their wheels with Peter. They had the thing where they made him superior Spider-Man, and Doc Ock took over and Peter was dying. And then he came back and he had to deal with being rich, which I was like, okay, cool. This is not, let's play with that. With Peter being like a Batman-like character, a Bruce Wayne-like character, not wanting to be. He doesn't want to be his character. Then they reset him again and started doing the tragedy stuff. And then Miles was kind of like you said, was struggling. I think after Into the Spider-Verse and haven't seen how well that mentor relationship worked, they took it in the comics, and now Miles is off running in the comics. And now Peter can be an older Spider-Man who's in his 30s, maybe start having kids, and can finally progress and doesn't have to reset back to his teenage years. Because people want to see him and Miles interact with each other. And we see it affect the games as well. So like this, as a Spider-Man fan, like he's my favorite superhero, this movie is so important. And then on top of that, just the representation. You know, Miles feeling like a little kid that I interact with when I'm walking in the street. Is so big. For a movie starring a black kid to make so much money. I know it underperformed, but it still made more money than a lot of black films do. And it also won an Oscar. You know what I mean?
But it also lives on beyond that. It's not just about the in-theater performance. I mean, it took time to get traction. Yeah. But it is widely regarded as one of the best. And even though the money doesn't reflect that, it sure does reflect it now.
Yeah. And crazy views on Netflix and buys, and people are still searching to watch that film. I don't know if it's on a streaming service right now, but it's just an amazing achievement in animation. Now we're seeing other movies like Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah.
Take on it. Or like Mitchell's versus Machines.
Good movie.
And different things like that taking from it. Now I think that's the next step. This very kinetic animation that will make it easy for you to do different animation styles in one movie without it feeling weird.
Take the What's Up Danger scene and inject it into my veins all day, every day.
There's a perfect Spider-Man scene.
Perfect. I mean, perfect. I don't even want to describe it. Perfect.
It's perfect. Let's see what the people got to say. Let's see. I'm in the same way. I love the way movies make me feel. I don't care how much green screen they have.
But if the green screen is distracting,
yeah,
and I feel like I can't stand it, I'm gonna say something.
Yeah, I'll say that. I'll be like, you know what? This movie made me laugh. I like the action, but this green screen was terrible. Just letting you know. If you care about that a lot, just being aware. But at the end of the day, if you don't, this movie's awesome. Into / Across the Spiderverse made me cry in the theater.
Same.
Yeah.
No shame.
I was in awe how complete. Is it Across or maybe he's saying Into
First
the
one was
Spider-Verse
Into,
a
second
film?
was Across. Yeah.
Yeah. I teared up in the first 5 minutes Into the Spider-Verse. Representation matters. Facts. You know how I know that matters? Because with Eternals, a movie that's divisive, whatever. But the guy, Barry Keoghan,
Yeah,
he said that he never has gotten to use actual accent in a movie until he got to do that because he got to play an Irish person.
right.
And there's Irish people watching that movie going like, whoa, like he sounds just like me. And you know, you don't, people don't think about that sometimes. I never really thought about like we don't have a real Irish accents in American films. It
Right.
does matter.
Yeah, and it just sucks that he was in a trash movie.
We won't debate about that. This is about celebration of your list. I just looked up for Borat for best comedy at Golden Globes. I'm pretty sure it was up there. I still have enough time with Miles in the comics. They still have a tough time with Miles in the comics. The movie versions are the next versions.
I'm willing to embrace the movies for right now. Let's rock with what we got.
Yeah, I think Into the Cross are two of the greatest comic book stories ever told, live or animated. Agreed. Empire and Sith is my two favorites, but Empire is the best, followed by Sith. That's fair.
Mad respect. Mad respect.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yep.
Tell Ty Spider-Verse the PJs did it first. Oh my god, the PJs. Oh, that's a good point. The PJs did have that kinetic style way back then and wasn't appreciated. The action is unbelievably dynamic. Facts. Oh, the Doc Ock twist. Holy moly.
Miss Doc Ock.
Oh, it was
Octavia.
so good.
So amazing. And Catherine Hahn voiced her.
Yes.
Catherine Hahn is incredible.
Absolutely incredible. I graduated high school and Revenge of the Sith came out. Oh man, you're OG collectors movie fan. Because Revenge of the Sith came out. I don't even know what year that came out. I know I was a kid.
Dang, I'm a kid compared to y'all, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. I remember walking out of the movie theater at midnight. I was very sad how Padme died. Ooh, yeah. Turning the bagel moment into the catalyst of the cross.
That's how legends are made. That's how legends are made.
And that's even deeper for me because they did that because of another multiverse movie, which is actually my favorite movie of all time, Everything Everywhere
All at Once.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. You got to build in knowledge of Spider-Man so it hits harder for you. Yep. Yeah. If you already have. Oh yeah. Kingpin taking up this whole
An absolute unity. He's like, it's not about the money, Spider-Man.
Oh my God, that was an amazing accent. You need to get a side job in doing voice acting.
Low key, I've been told I could do some impressions every now and then.
Hey, look,
who knows?
They're paying well these days. So Spider-Man is now Batman Beyond, an older Peter coaching a younger Spider. Yeah, well, not that far. Let's not have Peter with a cane.
No.
But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, Uncle Aaron. Oh,
dude, the Prowler theme.
Oh, it goes so hard.
I tried to use that in one of my YouTube videos and got a copyright claim.
I was about to say, did they get you?
Mad. I was so mad. I was like, it's 3 seconds, my guy. 3 seconds.
You did like, nope. 3 seconds, and they were like,
not
no,
good enough.
Damn,
nope.
Sony was not playing.
Nope.
It's crazy because I've heard so many TikToks use it, so I wonder if they're all copyrighted.
But TikTok is different though. YouTube is where they get you, and maybe it would just caught me on a bad day.
I could go on forever about this movie. Me too.
Same.
I thought I was your favorite superhero. You be lying out here. See, Kal-El, Superman is my favorite DC superhero, but my favorite superhero overall is Spider-Man. To be fair, TNT been doing animated. Their movie was well received in 2007. Yeah, no. I'm not saying, TNT is just the new one is animation inspired by a Spider-Verse, especially the first one. Yeah, I started reading some of the Star Wars books 2 years ago. I'm starting with the Legend series books. Is that something you're familiar with?
Collector movie man, you are now my best friend. The Legends books are amazing. I wish they never got removed as canon. That was one of the worst mistakes Disney made. But the Legends books are amazing.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
How old were you when the Sith movie came out, Zach? I was 15.
I'm not going to answer how old I was.
He was like, I was 5.
I was 8.
Okay.
I was pooping.
Not that bad. 3 seconds while stingy. That's a fact.
It'd be the most random things too. Like you never know.
Yeah. I'm your fave. Lying for company is cool. I see how you're playing Harvey Dent right
Got that
now.
Two-Face.
No, I'm not Two-Face.
Got that Two-Face.
No. This is a movie I can't do a segment with because I don't really know the movie that well.
Yeah, you're good.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Yep.
Talk to me about this movie. I haven't seen it yet. I know Andrew Garfield's in it, and I've heard good things. But why is this movie so great?
This was an example of I came to a movie because of the actor. You know, Andrew Garfield's my boy. I've tried to watch as many things as I can with him in it. And Hacksaw Ridge comes full circle into that emotion that we talked about earlier, where I walked out of the theater again feeling something. It's not the most technically sound movie as well, but Mel Gibson as the director really delivered a very poignant, emotional, and I'm going to say spiritual in this context because it was something that was truly gripping. And the way the premise of the film is it's about Desmond Doss, who is a real life soldier who refused to carry a gun because of his personal convictions. And he overcame a bunch of adversity, bullies, trauma, all that kind of stuff, and was dedicated to saving lives instead of taking them. And it led to a big battle. I made a note of where it was at. Where was it? Battle of Okinawa, and he saved 75 men without firing a single shot.
Wow.
All as a medic in the middle of the fire, and all he had was his convictions and his willpower. And this movie spoke to me because of what it represents. Because it reminded me in a world where, you know, some things have gray areas and can be up for debate. For me, it was one of those things where if you stay strong with your convictions and you have a moral center, you can do amazing things. It's all about staying grounded and embracing the fact that it's okay to stand by what you believe in. As you know, within, of course, you know, some people can take that in a different context, but it's more so of because of how much he had strong feelings about not carrying a gun, he denied the temptation of, you know, just one time I'll use the gun to protect myself. And he trusted in his ability to save those men on his own. Pair that with a masterful performance by Andrew Garfield. And I think he delivered such a very grounded, raw, emotional take on the character. Combine that with it being a pretty good war movie as well. Because it was very well shot, especially in the second half of the film when they're in the actual battle. It's dark, it's gritty, it's bloody, it's nasty, it's ugly, as war is. It's Saving Private, maybe not as much as Saving Private Ryan, but of the same volition. And it's heavy stuff, but it almost makes you want to root for him even more because he's facing down these enemy soldiers without a weapon to defend himself, and you almost kind of wonder for a second, oh, is he going to make it out alive? But because he continues to stay strong and focus solely on how many people can he help, he even ends up saving enemy soldiers. Because this whole thing is, I'm going to help whoever I can help. Wow. And there's times where he's in the trenches and an enemy soldier falls next to him close to death, and he still takes the time to save them, to bandage them up, to keep them alive, because his whole purpose is, let me get one more and one more and one more. And he says that every time he saves a new person. So I think I walked out of that film genuinely kind of reflecting on what have I done recently to take a stand, to help somebody out, to do something that otherwise I would have said, oh, it's too hard, or I don't have the time for it. I was like, Desmond Doss saved 75 men in the middle of the night with nothing but his wit and some scraps around him. What could I do today to make somebody else's life better? And so it left me with that question. So not a lot of people have seen Hacksaw Ridge. It's not a super, you know, it didn't do bukus at the box office, but it's still an important film to me because it really did convict me about my mentality and how I can look to helping more people.
Wow, that's inspirational. And I didn't know that was fully what the movie is about. I've seen like clips, but mostly about like him getting bullied or whatever, and in the movie, not like what he actually was doing on the field. In terms of like Andrew Garfield specifically, I don't know if you've ever seen, because I heard there's like a faith underlying tone in this film?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think he was like a Seventh Day Adventist or something like that. I think.
Okay. Another movie or show, I should say, since you love Andrew Garfield, I would say I don't know if you've seen it yet. It's called Under the Banner of Heaven.
Yeah, where he's a preacher or something like that.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. That is an incredible show, which sounds similar in tone and that struggle that he had, but it's like that Batman rule. It's like I won't kill because once I do it once, I'm not gonna stop. It's the same thing with the gun. I'm not gonna use the gun. I'm not gonna use the weapons because it's gonna be too easy. And then every time I'm getting to a sticky situation, let me just shoot.
Right.
So that's really really strong, really powerful, and I love what I'm hearing so far. Other than, well, actually no, so far with all these films, um, that we've done when you're older versus the teen years and adolescent years, it seems like teen years and adolescent years kind of developed your taste in what you like in terms of like watching stuff. But you're so far in your older years, the things that you watch have reflected on like how you want to become as a person,
Right.
lessons you want to learn that's going to help you become a person to other people in the outside world. And I think that this one was a big one. How can I, as a person, help people like this man did? Obviously, I can't save 75 people in a war, but what can I do for one person in real life that's simple? And that's really dope.
Yeah.
What's one moment in the film? This is a question I wanted to ask in this particular film that made it click for you. Like, did it click right away? Like, oh, I'm really into this movie right away, or was it like you watch it, okay, I get it, and then there was a moment in the film where you're like, okay, this is awesome.
Yeah. No, it's a slow burn. It
Okay.
does not start out quick. Just like how a lot of other films do. It takes its time because the character of Desmond Doss is a very simple-minded country boy who,
Mhm.
he's a simple man. He just wants to go home to his wife, and but he's so passionate about helping people that he knows the best way he can do it is in the military. And I think when it clicked for me was when he was in basic training, and like you said in the trailers, like bullied, abused, picked on, and he still never wavered. He never lost.
Mm.
Like even when he was bloodied and bruised and his eye was swelling and his nose was broken, he never snitched on the people who did them to him, because the drill sergeant comes in and he goes, "What happened, son? Who did this to you?" Point him out in the guys, and he's just like, "No, I fell when I was sleeping. I was a rough sleeper." He's like, "That's it." Because of how selfless he was. And for me, I was like, "Oh, this dude's legit." I was like, this man is, I was like, "Wow, he is so determined to do the right thing that he won't even sell out the people who hurt him."
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I want to know more about this character. And that's when it pays it off when we go into the battle and the war. And because you're already getting familiar with this character, you're like, "Oh yeah, is he going to break his one rule?" And you're hooked from there on out. So
Mm. That's amazing. Almost forgot I had a poll up again, but I remember this time. But because of your Star Wars conversation, and a lot of people were debating about Empire Strikes Back versus Revenge of the Sith, I put Revenge of the Sith versus Strikes Back.
uh-oh.
Empire Strikes Back got 100% of the votes. That's like the unanimous one. That makes sense. I'm not surprised, but
Yeah.
like you said, it's all subjective.
Yeah.
Let's see what the chat has to say. Kenny said, "I was shocked that my Britney Spears and Omarion songs in my last two videos didn't get claimed."
You
I
got
was going to
lucky.
ask you about that. Yeah, like
Lucky.
because you used that Britney Spears songs like 4 times in that one,
Yeah.
and you used the Mario one like twice. I was shocked. I know it was short. He did like 2 seconds. But still, you did 3.
Yeah.
And they got
Yeah.
you. I never watched any of the Spider-Verse movies. Wow. But I do enjoy the PlayStation games with Miles and Peter Parker. You should definitely watch
Add
them,
it to your
man.
list. Yep.
Yeah, like they're almost, if you love comic book movies or just comic book characters, they're like must watch.
It's required reading, but for movies.
Yeah. I haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge. Who directed kept me from watching it. I have mixed
Fair.
feelings. Okay.
Fair.
Mel Gibson.
Totally
Yeah.
fair. Totally fair.
In basic training, if you snitch, the beating you worse. Oh, the beating you get next time will be worse.
Yeah.
Oh
So
boy.
it's double
whammy.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of double whammies, the number one film that we're going to be talking about is one of my favorite films of all time, one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, a movie that was such a shared experience in the theater with so many people around the world all crying at the same time, and that is Avengers Infinity War. Let's talk.
You just said what I was going to start and lead with, which was the best cinematic experience I have ever had in the theater, and I've been chasing that high ever since, and I don't know if I'll ever get it back. I don't know
Mm,
if I'm ever going to match that. I'm always open to. I just there will not be another peak than Infinity War, at least in my mind. Prove me wrong, but in that moment, surrounded by fellow comic book fans, we've watched the MCU together, a decade of films. We're all together on opening night. The room smells like sweat because some of the fans forgot to bring, not gonna cuss, but mother deodorant, so like we're all in this, whether we like it or not, we're all in bed together and let's make this happen. And it's a beautiful thing.
mhm.
People may not understand that if they're not comic book fans or if they didn't go to Infinity War as a fan.
Yeah.
You can't replicate that. The energy felt like you were at a concert or a theme park. I mean, it was an experience. I normally don't like when people get hyped or loud during a film because shut up, I'm trying to hear what they're saying. I'm trying to see what they're doing. I made an exception to my rule when Thor arrived in Wakanda. We all rose as a whole together. It felt like an earthquake of everybody jumping up and going, "Oh shit, let's go!" Like
Yeah.
we're all fist bumping, high fiving, and we're like family for a second. Like Dom Toretto will be so proud because we're all just together as one. And it's a beautiful thing. I could talk about how amazing Josh Brolin is as Thanos. I could talk about how masterfully the Russo brothers bring all of these different characters in and give them their time to shine, whether it's the
Mhm.
Guardians of the Galaxy or freaking Thor or Iron Man or Doctor Strange, Spider-Man. Everybody has a moment to shine.
Yeah.
And that's not easily replicated. And there's so much that they did right that it's so hard to figure out how they could top that. Endgame did good. Don't get me wrong. There are incredible moments in Endgame, but it's not to Infinity War's level, in my opinion. Um, and the visual effects, the CGI, they took their time with this one. And thank God they did
Yeah.
because it paid off in every sense of the word. It deserves 100 gazillion billion dollars. And the fact that I'm still chasing that feeling to this day, it's so important that I got to sneeze. Oh, it left. Never mind. I felt a sneeze coming on, but that's it. That's my reasoning.
I'll never forget that feeling watching Thanos throw a moon at the Avengers and Guardians. Um, or that feeling of seeing Doctor Strange go one on one with him and split into multiple versions. Like one thing I'll say about comic book movies that I was missing that Infinity War Endgame gave me is the superpower set. And I'm hoping
Yeah.
that James Gunn fully realizes that for DC, because that's what DC has over Marvel almost at all times. The
Right.
cool superpowers, right? And that's the one thing I always miss. I always found them fun. I like the character arcs. Some of the action scenes in comic movies are always great. But Infinity War Endgame took it to a level that I was like, yes, this is what I imagined. This is what I've read. I saw on the
Spectacle.
page. Yeah, this is what I saw in the animated series. Doctor Strange splitting like Naruto into multiple versions. Yeah, him turning in his thing into butterfly. Like just two uber powerful people just going one on one is just amazing. And then that ending, just the buildup of it, like everybody standing there and just feeling his presence. That's how scary it was. You
Inevitable.
know, inevitable.
The
Well,
silence in the theater when he snapped his finger. Just as how loud we were when Thor arrived in Wakanda, we were just as quiet when he snapped his fingers. We walked out of the theater, not a single soul said a word. We all walked
bro,
out with our head down, just going, "What did we just watch?"
what the hell just happened? But even before that, just the emotional aspect of Wanda killing Vision,
Yeah.
and then just seeing it, just oh well, I'm gonna bring him back anyway. You know how a movie is masterful, and I think Infinity War and Endgame both did this, making you forget the MacGuffin because she killed Vision. I was like, oh man, this sucks that she did that, but at least he won't completely forgetting that he had the time stone. We just saw him get it like 10 minutes ago, but the tension was so great and the emotional moment was so great, I forgot.
Yep. Yep.
And then the snap, obviously, and the way they executed it and the fading away and all that good stuff. I'll
And
never
Thor
forget being
had
in
a
that theater.
chance.
Yes.
Had a
Yes. They edged us.
That's the best way to put it.
They really did. We was like, oh shoot, because if you are familiar with the Infinity Saga in the comics, we know Thanos is gonna win, and then the Avengers come back, but the Avengers never lost. That's another thing with like the Empire Strikes Back feeling. And I said, this is the closest step we've ever gotten to it. The fact that they actually found a way to make them lose, and just him like he threw it, and I was like, oh man, Thor, he did it. And then he's like, you should have aimed for the head. I'm like,
Cold.
no!
Cold-blooded.
And then young Gamora talking to him, how much was it worth? Oh,
Everything.
it was just like, Jesus. But I'll never forget that feeling of everybody being in the theater just sitting there waiting for the credits, and then the Sam Jack thing came on there, like, oh my god, more.
Like, I can't
And then they
take
had the audacity to put Thanos will return. That takes balls.
They dropped their balls right in the middle of the screen and said, screw you guys, we'll see you next year.
Yeah, we'll see you next year, and it's about Thanos. What?
And it was like,
I'll never forget.
For me, I was like, Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman was signed on for more pictures. There was like 3 other super like characters that I knew were signed on for more pictures. I was like, they wouldn't dare, but we didn't know. It's
Yeah.
like, what are they gonna do?
The Spider-Man thing, we just got Spider-Man in the MCU. And the
He's
way he
gone.
did it, the whole like him taking a little time, every time I see that scene, I cry.
Yeah.
Even if I don't want to. It just
And
brings back that trauma of like, oh, they're killing Spider-Man off?
And you know why he did that too, right? Like the reason why he didn't go away. Yeah, like he didn't go away immediately was because Peter Parker is so powerful that his body was rejecting the snap, and he was able to hold on a little bit longer. That's baller. That's crazy.
So dope, so crazy, and just Tom Holland just knocking it out of the park with that scene. Oh man, it's gonna take a while before we get an Infinity War level feeling.
Because we were unified for 3 phases.
Yeah.
Even if we get the next Avengers movie, it's not going to be the same
because
we're not unified.
No, everything is so all over the place. People are so mad about different things. Some people have the right reasons to be mad. Some people are mad about stuff that shouldn't even matter. Or some people were never really fans. They just want to be the water cooler talk. They only watched it because they only want to be left out. So they checked out now that not everybody's talking about it anymore. So yeah, it's gonna take a while for that movie, whatever it's called, if it's Kang Dynasty or if it's just Avengers 5, something else. Who knows at this point? It's gonna take a while for us to get back at that point, but I'm glad that we got it in the modern age because you're in mid-20s, I'm in my early 30s, and I didn't grow up with Star Wars. I watched it way after it came out, and I'm pretty sure that's the same thing for you. I didn't grow up with Lord of the Rings. I watched it after. You grew up with Lord of the Rings?
Kind of, sort of, maybe, but like it was still around that.
Watched it a little later.
Mid-time, yeah.
So this was something that I got to experience in real time.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like, those nostalgia play. Maybe the VFX is not up to standard, so I don't appreciate it much. I was in the cinema.
I can tell my kids about that. I get to tell my kids about that one day, about how I was there when it happened.
Yes. And then watch it with them and like, look at the greatness here.
Amazing.
Amazing. So let's get into the Q&A because that was the last film, and what a film to end on into your adult years. And then we'll wrap this up and talk about what this all means. So there's gonna be 21 questions for people who love films. So answer them as fast as you can.
You got it.
If you guys any additional questions for him, drop them in the chat. Kenny Sparks had a run. Thank you for being on the live stream. Appreciate you so much. And then I'll get to the rest of the chat when we're done. Number 1, what's your favorite movie ever?
Favorite movie ever is Into the Spiderverse.
Okay. What qualities do you look for in a great movie?
Technical excellence that's not distracting, compelling characters, and dedication to delivering a high quality experience.
Mm. What is a movie you wish you never watched?
Where do I start?
I got a list.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Oof. What are your top 3 favorite movie scenes?
Oh gosh. What's Up Danger? Because favorite movie. Oh, this is hard. I'm gonna just pull from the top 3 movies I've talked about. Is that we're gonna do Thor arriving in Wakanda, and then the let me get one more scene from Hacksaw Ridge. So I'll take from all 3 of the top movies.
Nice. What genres of movie do you like? We kind of know.
Is
but,
that
like,
even a
what genre?
question?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I want to say superhero, but I don't want to admit Star Wars. So I think sci-fi is probably like a way to sneak it in there.
Yeah, sci-fi, fantasy.
Yeah,
What do you think about animated movies? Are they just for kids?
absolutely not. And anybody who does should argue with the wall.
I was gonna ask you about that versus Spider-Verse, but we gagged on it about it so long because a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't want to watch because it's animated." But
Okay, boomer.
what are facts? Come on, you
I don't
grew
care.
up on Disney movies. Come on.
I'm respectful of people, but when people say stuff like that, I'm like, I'm sorry, that's just ignorant.
Yeah. What do you like to eat or drink while watching a film?
Ooh, okay. I shouldn't say this. Energy drinks. I'm a psychopath. I know. I need to stop. Energy drinks followed by probably peanut M&Ms.
Mm. How did the internet change the film industry for you?
I get so many things spoiled.
Mm.
Hate that. Most of the time,
Yeah.
accidentally.
Yeah, me too. I'm going on Twitter to go look at something else, and the next thing I'm seeing
Boom.
Deadpool and Wolverine
3.
next to
Yep.
each other, and I didn't need to see that.
I wish I could go back to the time where I could just watch movies and not know what was going to happen.
Yeah, especially when watching a trailer, because people are like, "Oh, trailers spoil everything." I'm like, only because we know so much beforehand.
Yeah.
Like if we watched the
real.
trailer and didn't know so much beforehand, it wouldn't spoil much. What movies? Let's say 2 movies you would recommend to a stranger to get to know you.
Oh. Revenge of the Sith. Easy. And Captain America the Winter Soldier.
A movie that wasn't on your list, but
Yeah.
in there.
We talked
Nice.
about most impactful movies, not my favorite movies. That's
true.
different. That's a
That's
different
different.
thing.
I'm glad you said that. Let's see. What films are you looking forward to watching? Let's say 2 films that you look for watching the next month or so
That haven't been released, or
that hasn't been released.
Deadpool 3.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. Oh, I don't care if leaks or no leaks. It's gonna be great. And freaking Sonic 3. We haven't talked about any of this, like my obsession with Sonic, because
Yeah.
not the time or the place, but Sonic is one of my favorite characters of all time, and Sonic 3 cannot get here soon enough.
Nice. I'm really hoping that. I think the stories of Sonic are better than the Mario movie stories, but I'm hoping it can reach the level of fun. I don't know if they've reached the level of fun of the Mario movie, so hopefully they can do that.
They're getting there.
Yeah, let's leave the humans behind a little bit more. I really wish the Mario movie came out before Sonic did, so that they could have went all animated
Oh
to Sonic.
my gosh. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Let's see. What films do you think should have won an Oscar for Best Picture but did not?
Look, one thing you need to know about
know.
me, I don't care about Oscars. I don't care about awards. I'm happy for the people who win.
Yeah.
I don't. Whatever superhero movie that was amazing. I mean, did Into the Spiderverse get nominated and like not win anything? I don't know.
It's just probably one Best Animated movie.
Anything that they could have won, they should have won, because I think out of like that year, that should have swept everything they could have gotten. But I'm
scared Across Spider-Verse is about to lose out because of the boy and the hair on, and I'm like,
yeah.
that
See,
movie.
You are way better versed in that than I am. I don't follow all that stuff, but totally respect it.
Yeah. Ooh. How long should a movie be on average?
As long as it needs to be.
Good answer.
I will watch a 3-hour and 45-minute movie if it's meant to be.
If it's meant
But
to be.
if it's a 3-hour, 45-minute movie that doesn't justify its existence, again, hot take. I think Endgame is too long because there are parts of it that's inconsistent and boring. So I can't even say that it's supposed to be 3 hours long. I don't enjoy it as much because it's 3 hours long. But will I sit down and watch something else that might be 3 hours long that I love? Will I sit down and watch The Batman with my wife and enjoy it more? Probably.
Good points. We haven't really talked about foreign films. Are there any foreign films that you liked a lot? That's like your favorite?
Train to Busan.
My guy. Love that. One of my favorite zombie films.
Yep.
What do you think of book to movie adaptations? We kind of touched up on this a little bit.
Yeah, as long as they're faithful without having to feel like they have to copy everything, justify your own existence without crapping on what came before.
And out of the list that we made here, who are your top 3 favorite actors from this list?
Andrew Garfield. RDJ. Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough
great
one.
actors.
There's a lot of great actors. Shoot. I'm probably gonna go with I'm gonna take the cop out and say Ewan McGregor. I think he's the perfect fit for the for the world that he was a part of.
Yep. He understood the assignment.
Yep. Ate and left no crumbs.
No crumbs. Which movie do you quote the most? Is it Borat?
No, or else I'd be canceled and thrown off the internet. I would probably say Hayden Christensen, both from Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, because like I'll just be like, it's outrageous, it's unfair, like he's jealous, he's holding me back
too well. That was amazing. I thought he was behind you real quick.
Yeah, my wife,
you can cosplay him
so
really
annoying.
well. You grow your hair,
I'll just wear a wig. I don't care.
Yeah.
I wore a Kylo Ren wig and cosplayed as him back when Force Awakens first came out.
Nice. Just destroying your helmet.
Yep.
Let's see. And it says, what is a movie that not many have heard about that you've already seen and love? Like you feel like I'm the only one that's watched this and I love this so much.
Oh, that's factually incorrect because I am Mr. Franchise. There's not a lot of like nuanced or like underground movies that I've really seen that no one else has seen. I feel like there's probably something, but I might have to skip this one. I legitimately don't know.
Oh, this is good because you Mr. Franchise, you watch a lot of visually stunning movies. What is the most visually stunning movie you've ever seen?
Into the Spiderverse.
Mhm.
Whoa. Pause it. Reverse it. Probably Across the Spiderverse. Because Into the Spiderverse is great. Visually, I think Across the Spiderverse is better.
Yes. 1000%. They stepped their game up all the way.
Yeah.
With that one. How did your passion for film start?
My passion for film started when I actually started caring. I know that's kind of a broad subject or a broad statement, but you can watch movies just to watch movies and watch TV shows just to watch TV shows. But when you actually start caring about what you're watching, you tend to be more selective. Yeah, you either tend to be more selective with what you watch, and you tend to be more observant of the movies you already love. And you start to find more things and analyze, all because you actually start caring more than just, is this entertainment?
And I'll say for you, based on what we've been talking about, what you said, I think that's probably around 14, 15 for you. Because I remember you saying you watched the movie and that was the first time you started being critical.
Yeah.
Of something.
It's around that time, probably 15, 16.
Yeah. Oh, which movie genre do you dislike the most? Like you don't, like, I'm not watching this shit. I don't care how much people say it's hot.
Rom-coms.
This man's out here living a rom-com and does not like it. Okay.
See, look, it's the comedy I'm okay with, but when you start throwing romance in there, it's not funny.
It's not fun.
Just marry.
Okay.
Just get married
already. Let's not do this
Just
they,
bone.
don't they?
Just
Yeah,
bone. Like, whatever. Like, get it over with.
get it over with.
We all know y'all want to.
And the last question: what's the first movie have you watched? Like, do you remember
Oh
the first
my
movie you ever
goodness.
watched?
I think it might be the original. No. It might be the original Robin Hood, the Disney film.
Yeah.
Either that or there's a series of VHSs about the Little Rascals, but they were more so shorts, like black and white shorts.
Mm.
But I don't think that's a movie, so I'm gonna go with the animated Disney
That's
Robin
a
Hood.
great film.
Amazing, love it. Can't wait for my kids to
Great
start watching
first
that.
film.
Yeah,
80s kid from the 90s.
80s
Hey,
kid.
welcome
Well,
to
I just hit my light. 80s kid, let's go.
I
Welcome
was gonna
back,
say
my
welcome
dude.
to. I was gonna say welcome to the live stream, but he said he's back. Well, did
Yeah,
he go away?
Justin. I haven't seen him on a live stream in a minute, so
That's
this
true.
might be the first time Justin has come out of retirement. So this is great to see him.
Yeah, because usually he's in Zach's, he's in
Yeah,
mine's, he's in Kenny's. So I'm glad you're back, man. Hopefully everything is good and you're in a good place.
very happy to see you.
Infinity War is the greatest high I've ever had in the theater.
Yep.
Mine would be Endgame. I think from the whole battle scene at the end, that third act, the crowd, that movie special to me. That's the first movie I ever watched in the theater by myself. In terms of like, I didn't go with friends.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was just
wow.
in the theater with complete strangers going absolutely nuts.
That's cool.
When Cat got the hammer,
Oh
I've been
my gosh.
waiting for that
Yeah.
moment for so long, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
lost my goddamn mind.
I'm pretty sure I was the one sobbing the loudest when Tony passed, and it was when Morgan asked, or when Happy was talking about a cheeseburger, and she's like, "Cheeseburger?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, your father loved," bro, weeping, like sobbing, like just oh yeah.
I'm
Probably the
glad you
hardest thing
get
to
that
cry.
scene because there's a lot of people who say they don't get that scene. And I'm like, did you
Did you watch Iron
not?
Man?
Yeah, like, are
This
you
man,
not
this
paying
man
attention?
loves his cheeseburger.
He does. They recruited him in a burger joint. Hacksaw Ridge is an amazing movie. I have the Best Buy exclusive 4K steelbook. Nice.
Cool.
Have you seen what he said? Endgame is that for me.
Mhm.
Andrew Garfield was nominated for Best Actor for that movie. Yeah, he was.
Yep.
Theater noise. The best theater noise I've ever had. Yeah, the noise. It felt like a concert. I think
Yeah.
Infinity War and Endgame were like movie concerts.
Yeah.
Superman will be great. I'm hoping.
I sure hope so.
I'm hoping. It can't. If this movie's not great, it's just the whole thing's DOA. Gotta get Superman right.
James Gunn is 5 for 5, and I really don't. He hasn't given me reason to doubt him yet. Everything he's touched in the superhero genre has turned to gold.
I definitely agree with you. After I saw that movie, I try to do some stuff to help people.
Yeah.
Out. Wow.
So you got the message too. That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
The actor who played it in the movie as his father played in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Give me a sec. I got this one.
The father of Andrew Garfield in Hacksaw?
In Hacksaw Ridge. Yep. I know exactly who he's talking about. Hugo Weaving.
Oh, it was Hugo Weaving. Okay.
Yeah.
I know him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in tons of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is a question from 80s Kids. Who's your favorite X-Men?
Wolverine. Of course. I know it's super easy, but yeah. Well, you know what? Nope. Deadpool. Technically he goes back and forth, but I mean, we'll bunch him in there. He'd hate for me to say this out loud, but I would say that he's an X-Man, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Deadpool 110%. What about you,
Yeah,
Zach?
I remember walking. My favorite X-Men is Cyclops.
Cool.
Yeah, I like the complexity of the character. I remember walking out of Infinity War and I was bawling, and my mom was bawling, but my mom was kind of tapped out of the Marvel movies. She says they're getting way too complicated. That is a conversation that
valid.
Could be a whole video.
That's valid.
Multiverse, Secret Invasion, all this other stuff is getting complicated.
Again, it's in the drafts.
Yeah,
it's in the drafts.
Can't wait. Into the Spiderverse won Best Animated Movie. The Batman is goated. It's so good.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely kind of tapped out of Marvel movies. I didn't even see the new one. A lot of people are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my 30s right now, and I got introduced to Star Wars when I was 9 years old.
Mad respect.
Mine is Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. That's my favorite movie of all time.
Great movie.
I'm at 284 subs. Let's get this man to 300.
300.
Let's go.
Let's
Jared
get it.
Butler has freaking kicked him into a tunnel of 300 subs. And my favorite genre movies are action movies, adventure, sci-fi, drama, very little horror, and some comedies. Would you
Nice.
agree with that a little bit? Like no horror, maybe some comedies, mostly
What?
science fiction and stuff.
Oh, I like horror. Horror
Like,
was an acquired taste, but it's something I definitely picked up on. Comedies are so subjective, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm a bitter old man. It takes a lot to make me laugh. So comedies, I'm not against, but I just haven't found a lot that have impressed me. Action adventure, hit or miss. Science fiction, absolutely. Drama, as long as it's good, that I'm chilling.
So sum this up. This has been a phenomenal conversation with one of the best YouTubers on the planet right now, and a really good friend. I think that I could sum up your journey, and you made it really simple for me. A lot of people make it hard for me to try to figure out the through line, but you pointed things out. And I think from when you were younger, you just dwelled into things that felt greater than where you were. You know, whether it was Willy Wonka, and you're like, wait, is there a chocolate factory? It's like, one day I want to explore the world, and are these things real? And Willy Wonka, Lord of the Rings, and all these other movies that you've watched on this list just excited your imagination. I think that's you're a person that really delve into your imagination. Toy Story, if you think about, that's just an imaginative film. Monsters Inc. You know, you talked about the way they took the monster under your bed thing, imagination. Spy Kids, imagination, the pill. Like there's just a through line through your childhood. The Hook, the whole thing with Peter Pan is imagination, you know. But what also holds it all together with everything else is family. I think that is an important thing for you because your family is important to you. You talk about being the middle child, and a lot of times you are the rock of the family when you're the middle child. I'm the baby, so I was the one that the middle child and the oldest had to hold down, and I got away with a lot of stuff that they didn't get a lot away with. So anytime you could escape, whether it was Narnia, Middle Earth, a galaxy far, far away, on a spy adventure, or even like a pirate boat, you took that chance as a child, and it helped you influence the things that you just enjoy in media. But I noticed when you became an adult, and this is a common theme that I'm seeing with everyone, you started watching films that influence you, how you're going to be an adult, whether it's Anchorman and Borat, how that influences your comedy and how you joke and maybe how you talk in your personal life, or you know, Hacksaw Ridge, which is an inspirational film and pushes you to be a better person. And Into the Spiderverse kind of feels like it's a throwback to all those things in terms of the imagination. So that's that little spark that you were talking about with Hook. You know, all these other movies are like, you know, more adult, but Spider-Verse still brings that childlike nature in. And Infinity War is perfect. It's the theme of it. It made you feel something. So that's what I gather, and I wonder, do you feel like that's accurate?
That's about as accurate as it gets. That was very, very spot on. In fact, I'm impressed because low key, I thought we were going to go into this just talk about movies, but then I started to realize I was like, oh shoot, yeah, there is a connection. I did not put this list together with the connection in mind. That was not planned at all. I did what you told me to do: create a list and send it off.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, there is a connection. So I learned something from this live stream. Not on my bingo card for the day, but that's a dub.
I did my job. Taught you something about yourself. I gave you a fact about Spy Kids that I didn't know.
I'm gonna be contemplating life. I'm gonna go to bed and just sit there and be like, who am I?
Who am I?
What is this round
Everything
sphere that we call Earth?
That was a lie.
It's all about family.
Yo, that Don Torino thing that you did had me dying. I was like, I can't laugh any longer. I gotta focus because that's always so funny.
Oh yeah.
Let's do with the last two comments, and then I'm gonna let you shout out your channel, talk about what you have coming up next, and get you out of here because it's been 3 hours and you got a baby to tend to.
I do.
Collective Movie Bed says, I will watch a 5-hour movie if it's as long as it's good. It needs even 6. 6 is pushing it. Like, I look Zack Snyder's Justice League. That movie's 4 hours. But pushing past Get close to 5. It's a lot. I gotta be like super invested. A lot had to be built up, but 6 might be too much for me.
6 better be the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, it has to be one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yep.
I think Reed Richards will be the face of the MCU. I can see that.
Pedro
I can see
Pascal
it.
has the charisma to do it. He's not
Yeah.
RDJ, but he's of the same caliber, in my opinion.
Yes. I totally agree. That's what I was saying. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, he may be too old," but I'm like, RDJ started out pretty old. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
he's pushing 60 right now. So that just tells you
And he looks good.
he does. I
Age is
recently
like
watched the
fine
movie
wine.
Underdog. That's really, really good, especially for a stressed out white man that used to do drugs.
Right? Right? They normally don't carry it that well.
No, not at all. I recently watched the movie Underdog a couple weeks ago. What good movie, especially the theme song. Oh,
That's a good movie.
nice. Okay, so I'm gonna put you in solo layout. Shout out your channel. Tell people what you have coming up.
All right. What's going on, everybody? My name is Jonah from the Cosmic Broadcast. Go ahead and check out my channel if you are interested in anything Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Sonic the Hedgehog, and even if you're not interested, check it out just for the fun. We have a lot of fun over there. I have a great time editing, and I enjoy putting on a show for y'all. So if you ever want to just sit down, eat lunch, watch some entertaining videos, I would hope you find something on my channel that you would enjoy. Coming up in the future, I have a video coming up hopefully soon about my expectations for Sonic 3. And then I also have a poll on my community tab that you should definitely go check out because it is neck and neck. And that will decide the next video that I work on. I have 3 videos, a Spider-Man 2 review, why I think that the MCU is being ruined by Disney Plus, and how Sonic the Hedgehog saved my childhood. And I'm going to be doing all 3 of those, but you get to pick what the next one's going to be and what we see first. So go ahead and head over there, vote on my community tab. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you so much to Zach Attack for having me on the channel for the live stream. And great seeing you guys.
After doing that close up, I just realized how awesome your hair is. Good stuff, man.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I actually have started to recede a little bit. Like my wife the other day was like, "I think you're starting to lose hair." I was like, do you love me? Like, I know that we just had a kid and I know that it's super stressful, but like, is this the right time? Because
Don't point it out.
my hair is the one thing I got left. I mean, I'm whiter than Wonder Bread. So like at the end of the day, like this is all I have. This is all I have.
He said, don't tell me that. Like, don't, even if you see it, don't tell me.
If you see something, don't say something.
This is not the MTA. That's hilarious.
I appreciate you though, man. That was
Oh
great.
man, no problem. Great stream, Jonah. You are awesome, and I
Appreciate that,
totally agree. For me, this is Zach Attack Reviews. You already know that. I am probably might make a slight change to the name of this going forward. I just realized there is a movie that made this thing on Netflix that's very similar, and in order for me to keep doing this and avoiding copyright stuff, I'm probably going to call it Movies That Made You, especially since it's about me interviewing someone and not movies that made me. So you're going to see the title change a little bit, but moving forward, I have a Drive Away Dolls review coming up. I watched that movie on Friday. I'm getting to see Dune Part 2 early tomorrow, so that review should be coming out on Monday. And I have my Zach Attack News live stream on Tuesday. So that's the things you could be looking out for. And if any random trailers decide to pop up, I'll react to them. So that's what you guys can look forward to on this channel. Make sure you sub to Jonah. I know a couple of you did already, but if you have not, sub to Jonah. Be on the lookout for those awesome videos. Check out his old stuff too. And a lot of you guys are YouTubers. Definitely check him out. Like, he will help you become a better YouTuber. He's helped me become a better YouTuber just by watching his content. So everyone have a good night. No problem. And stay safe. I will see you guys next time. Peace.